All right. All right, guys. This is a bulletin from the world of Talkback about this latest. Actually, I've had a couple of trailers that I've witnessed recently in the recent hours, recent day, recent 24 to 48 hour time frame. Let me throw up what we're going to be talking about first. Give me a sec. This is what we're going to be talking about. So I'm actually going to, before I get into this, I'm going to, first of all, yeah, so like and subscribe to the channel. You know, this is where we'll be, or I, myself, the Merc, will continue to be sharing views and perspectives on things that are going on in the fan landscape. But I thought this was actually an important one to put on the board because it's a new Batman trailer. And I'm going to start off by saying, I'm not disappointed because I wasn't expecting that much. Okay, so I'm going to begin there. Wasn't really expecting that much, so I'm not disappointed. I mean, what I was watching, and I've watched the trailer now a few times. I have some thoughts about it. I have some thoughts about it. We know it's Matt Reeves who did the Planet of the Apes movies, and Robert Pattinson as Batman, Bruce Wayne, and Jeffrey Wright as Commissioner Gordon. We know that. What I would say, okay, is this. The whole DC thing is a bit confused. I wouldn't even say a bit confused. It's very confused. I have a situation here where we essentially have a Batman that came out a few years ago, aka Ben Affleck, who never actually got to get his own actual film, who is going to be existing in the Snyder's Cut. So there's a Justice League movie that's coming out with a Batman that isn't the Batman that we're going to be seeing in the film. So just let that be absorbed fully, that the trailer that we're seeing is for a Batman that isn't the Batman that's going to be in the Justice League movie stroke TV miniseries redo that's going to be on HBO Max in a few weeks or something. So that's the first thing. Second part is that the tone of this thing, yes, you always want Batman to be dark, because that's what the character is supposed to be. But at the same time, I'm going to say this, I'm going to put this on the board. It looked like a TV show. It didn't look like a film. When I was watching that trailer, it looked like something that would be, I mean, how different was that from Batwoman trailer for the TV show, from the trailer for Gotham, and it's not even as dramatic as the trailer for the Watchmen TV series that came out on HBO. You see what I'm saying? Like that. And I didn't watch that series because I'm with Alan Moore all the way. Alan Moore wasn't involved, so I'm not really interested, But that being said, that trailer actually looks stronger than this trailer. So when I was watching, I'm like, well, okay, this doesn't look like a big film. I was like, this could be a TV. If I saw that and I didn't know that this was a major movie release, I would think that was a trailer for a TV series. Good TV series. Like I'll be looking, I'm like, this might be a good Batman TV show. But I wouldn't be thinking like it's a major thing. That's the first. Well, not the first thing, but that's one of the points. Next point is, I mean, which is the obvious thing, is like the Robert Pattinson as Batman thing. I don't know, guys. I mean, that thing looks very emo. It looks very teen. It looked very teen. That's probably why I got those like vibes of a TV WB or CW show. So when I was watching it, I was like, this looks, it just felt very teeny, you know? Even down to like, you see the way the villains looked that he was beating up in the trailer? I'm like, they all looked just like scrawny, like they look like kids. Kids. I'm dead serious. Like, rewatch the trailer, rewatch it. I watched it a few times. And I'm like, hang on, these people don't even look that menacing. They just look like a group of kids, you know? So the person he was beating up really beat the hell out of the guy, you know, big time. But he just looked little, like just like a kid, like a teen, you know? So I mean, on that level, I was like, look, this feels like Batman the early years when he was a kid or something, like when he just started. Maybe that's what they're doing. Maybe this is like a year one type thing. I don't know. But when he was the clips that we saw, footage of him as Bruce Wayne, I was like, damn, you know, like I was, I'm like, it, it didn't look like he was, you know how you get Bruce Wayne, right? Bruce Wayne is like this big mogul tycoon type dude, you know? And the idea being is that that is the very opposite of the Batman character, so that when he switches to Batman, you feel like there's this big shift. This looks like the same guy psychologically. Like this, the vibe I was getting, I'm like, this, he has, you know, like the black thing on his face, on his eyes, and you know, his hair was like matted down. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is Bruce Wayne. Like, how does Bruce Wayne look so depressing? Isn't he like supposed to be like a billionaire tycoon type thing? Listen, and I'm saying supposed to be because clearly like guys are going in a whole different direction with this thing. Because I was like, this, I couldn't tell the difference between Batman and Bruce Wayne. I'm like, wait a minute, I know that he hasn't got his cowl on, but are we talking about is he still Batman now, or it felt like it's Batman just without the? You get what I'm getting at, okay, guys. I'm sure that there are people who are going to be listening to this transmission and be like, what the hell is the mech talking about? What the hell is the mech saying? But guys, look into your heart and soul and tell me that I'm not talking the truth. Look into your heart and soul. Only truth here, guys. Only truth. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, whoa, I mean, this looks very depressing. Not in a good way. Like the Batman thing is supposed to be dark. Like we've always talked about, like this thing should be serious, it should be dark, it should be, that's fine. But when I'm looking at this, I'm thinking I can't actually differentiate between the daytime Bruce Wayne versus the Batman darkness thing. I will say that I do like the way that the suit looks. I mean, the suit looks pretty good. I mean, I like that. I like the industrial look of it. But it does feel, again, like I say, the look and everything and the style, this does feel like a TV show. It doesn't feel like a film. This feels like definitely a TV show. It seems to be that the Riddler is the villain in this thing. And the whole vibe from the trailer that I was getting is that, you know, it's definitely, you know, we already knew this, but I think now for sure it's definitely going down the it's going down the detective path. And you know what, guys, let me pull this thing up. You know, what am I doing here? Let me pull this up. There's no reason for me not to pull this up and watch this thing with you guys, and let's have a talk about it as it's playing. You know, there's absolutely no reason under the sun for me not to pull this bad boy up. Just give me a sec.
Eve Online is about.
So I think that the idea of having the Riddler as the villain is not a bad idea at all, because I think that should have happened a while ago. And I think that it does lend itself to, you know, it does lend itself to. Give me a sec. Let me just pull this up here, guys. let me make my face a little bit. Actually, you know what? I should probably make my, yeah, you know what? Nah, let me make it small. So you can see my big mug here. Okay. So guys, let's ride this, you know, let's rock with this thing. So we're going to just, because I want to do it like a full-on analysis as it's going, because I already said a couple of things, but I think let me just roll this, you know, and then when I roll it, then we're going to roll the other trailers as well. So I'm going to roll this, and then we're going to do the same thing when we get to the Tenet and when we get to the Wonder Woman smack. So, but let's just start with this, okay? So now, okay. Your secret friend. I like the Commissioner Gordon, because I'm a big time Jeffrey Wright guy. So Jeffrey Wright can't mess up as far as I'm concerned. It's not possible. He's like Gary Oldman can't mess up. Jeffrey Wright can't mess up. So let's play a game. Just me and you. The look is pretty good. I mean, I'll admit to that. Like the tone of it is on point, like I said before, and I do like the suit. I do like the suit. But again, guys, you see this? Guys, you're becoming quite a celebrity. Doesn't this feel like a TV show, guys? CW. Why is he writing to you? I'll make this a little bigger. If you are justice. You see, look at these villains, guys. Look at these villains. Oh yeah, what's this? This is like Catwoman? You see, guys, come on, guys. You know, look at this, look at this. Look at this. Messes this guy up, you know. Messes this guy up big time. But the guy looks pretty small, man. Look at this. The kids, man, the kids. Kids. This guy's beating up kids. This is like child abuse. Like the suit. Like the suit. Guys, do not tell me that this doesn't feel like a TV show. Look at this. This is like coming to the CW every Sunday night. Look at that. Guys, I don't know. Can't call it. I cannot call it, guys. You know? Let me stop this thing. Can't call it. You know, I mean, quite honestly, I really don't know, you know. Let me pull up the next smack that we're going to be watching. I don't know, guys. I mean, you tell me. I want guys in the comments to, you know, let me know what the hell is going on. Official main trailer. Okay. Okay, we got that in there. Boom. Yeah, guys. Tell me what you think. Is the Mac being a little bit too harsh? But as you know, for the people who've been in this realm for long enough, understand this is my domain when it comes to Batman. It's my domain. That's my guy. That's my guy. So when it comes to Batman, I don't beat around the bush. Like there's other guys that I'm going to be talking left, talking right. With Superman is like really, it's my favorite film of all time is Christopher Reeve Superman. So I have an affinity for that film. But as a character, I couldn't care less about Superman, the character. The comics were damn boring. The comics were bloody boring. So I never enjoyed like reading Superman comics because it was just a thing that you did, you know? But that picture was a strong picture. But when I'm talking about my guy, Batman is my guy. So I take it seriously whenever they try to bring this guy to screen. And I have very, very strong views. You know, we've already done the episode, which I advise you guys to go and watch, which is the episode talking about who the greatest Batman and Bruce Wayne is. We've already done that. But now they're trying to bring this picture back to the screens, you know, aka Batman, the Batman, I should say, while still doing the Justice League thing with Ben Affleck, who, like I've said, the Snyder's Batman that was delivered in that film is the strongest version that I've seen. It's the strongest that I've seen. Bear that in mind. All right, guys, let's get on to the next thing. Let's get on to the next topic. We're going to now pull up what's its face? Wonder Woman trailer. Let's have a gander at that. All right. Give me a sec here. Let me pull this up. Good cinematography again. Good cinematography. Quality. The movie looks good. Wonder Woman 1, Patty Jenkins, man, like, the movie looks good. Let's just call a spade a spade. The movie looks good. You know what I'm saying? Can't lie to you. Look at this. Looks good. Very bright, colorful, friendly, welcoming. It's saying like, let's watch this movie. Let's have fun. Kristen Wiig, big fan. I like her a lot. I've got to say that. Put that out there. Chris Pine, Gal Gadot's making him look like Marlon Brando. Obviously, she's still doing the same thing now, so she's still making the guy look like Marlon Brando. Or maybe this time she's going to take it up a level, and she's not going to make this guy look like Daniel Day-Lewis.
You've always had everything, while people like me have had nothing. Well, now it's my turn. Get used to it.
Yeah, man. Oh, Batman, I see you there. But let's just get this Wonder Woman trailer done, okay? Let's just watch this. Listen, man, look, let's be real. This footage, this trailer is looking nice. Look at this, man. Look at the colors. Look at the colors. It's very simple material. If you're a Wonder Woman fan and you're watching this trailer, you're going to be excited. You're going to be excited because it's a quality trailer. It's a quality trailer. I don't know about the CGI on Cheetah, and Gal Gadot still can't act, so I mean, we still got that to contend with, but the trailer looks good. Yeah, I'm gonna watch this. I'll watch this. Yes, Sam Collins, I'm with you on that. Yep. Let's get to the questions afterwards. Yep. I'm with you on that, Sam Collins. Oops. I'm with you on that. I'm not down with the Cheetah. Let me just pull this up. On Wonder Woman 1984, the only thing I'm a bit iffy on is the design of Cheetah. Agreed. Like, I actually just said that. I actually just said it as you said it. So I'm like, yeah, man, I don't know about that, man. I mean, the CGI is a bit dodgy. Like, because as soon as she came in, changed. See, this is the thing. I really like Kristen Wiig. Like, I don't even know, because she's never been in any films that we've talked about on Talkback, but I actually really rate her. Oh, I did. She was in Ghostbusters, and I haven't actually done it. The Ghostbusters 2016 rubbish. But she was actually the only good thing in that. Well, I can't even say good, but one of the better things in the film. I actually really rate her. Like, I think that she's actually quite good at what she does. That comedic acting type thing. And it was interesting that she's now doing a dramatic thing in this movie. And I think it's actually quite interesting casting. I think that the trailer looks good. The first trailer was all right. This one looks good, man. Like I call a spade a spade. I just did the Batman thing and I just said what I said, and that's my guy. Wonder Woman is not my thing. Never liked Wonder Woman, ever. I always thought it was a cheap knockoff of Superman. And they just wanted to make a female Superman character. That's what I always thought. The TV show that used to come on, I used to just watch that thing and laugh. Okay, I didn't take it seriously. But that first Wonder Woman movie was a good movie. It was a good movie. I watched it. I was like, this film is good. And part of the reason why it was good was, you're making a movie that's an female empowerment movie that isn't relishing in slamming men. Like, it's like, you've got somebody who's being feminine and strong and a strong character, and the movie isn't every second making rib nudging jokes at men's expense. I actually like that. So I was watching it and I'm saying, okay, look, this is something that I can enjoy, but it's not a man at front and center. There's a woman at front and center who's the hero, and it makes sense. It's made well. It's quality. Good movie. When I'm looking at this trailer, I think at this trailer, this actually looks like, man, this might actually be better than the first movie. You know? She did have a small role in the Discuss the Martian. Did she? Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, look, Batval, what I'm going to have to do is that maybe at the end of this, then we're going to go back and to Batman discussion, okay? Because let me just get this. I need to do a couple of, I need to do the, what's it called? The Tenet trailer now. Let me do Tenet real quick. And then we'll go back to dealing with Batman, because I mean, yeah, Batman is that's a whole topic to be discussed. But let's just do this Tenet business, you know. Let's see now. Let's get that trailer up on the page. Let's get this up on the page. Listen, guys, I've watched this trailer 55 times. I've watched this trailer. I've watched this trailer so much. I've been watching this trailer all day, and then after watching the trailer, I've listened to the Travis Scott, the Plaid track in between. So I listen to the Travis Scott track like 3 or 4 times, then I'll stop it and then I'll go to the trailer and then watch the trailer about 3 or 4 times. Then I go back to the Travis Scott, I'll listen to that by a couple of times, then go back to the trailer. That's what I've been doing, because I'm trying to really get to the nuts and bolts of what's going on here. Because as you know, Nolan's also my guy too. And I've not really been down with a lot of the pictures that have been released recently. Well, not recently, like the most recent films. Batman, Dark Knight Rises, Interstellar, Dunkirk. What was the other one that came out? Okay, those 3 for sure. Inception. I've not been, you see what I'm saying? So this is something that, and I would say this, I respect Inception. And I'm sorry that I actually didn't put for the Wonder Woman talk, I actually didn't change the banner. I should have changed the banner. That was very foolish of me. Let me change the banner for what we're talking about now. All right. Yeah, I don't know why I did that. I should have changed the banner. So guys, let's just watch this trailer. Okay. And then we'll take it from there. All right. All right. Let's get this trailer up on the screen. Let's get this Tenet trailer up on the screen. All right. Boom, 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 bada boop, bada boop, bada bing. All right. Strong trailer, guys. Strong. So what we know is that this movie is about inversion, right? And it's not a time travel movie per se. It's actually a reality manipulation movie. Strong trailer.
One of these villages like us, traveling forward through time. The other one's going backwards. Can you tell which is which? How about now?
Guys, what do you think of Robert Pattinson in this trailer, guys, in this movie so far, the footage that you've seen? What are your thoughts? Post comments, I want to know. And John David Washington as the lead. Thoughts on that? Because I'm going to talk about that like as we go. This trailer, I think, is actually better than the old trailer. I don't know if you can hear me. Guys, can you hear me as I'm talking, or can you only hear the sound of the trailer? Let me know. Because I don't know. I don't know if you can hear me or not.
Good with fists for a diplomat.
There are people in the future who need us.
All right. So, and can you hear the sound of the trailer as it's playing? Good. All right, good. Strong trailer. I like the tone of it. It's very, as usual, very James Bond-esque. I think we're getting a better idea of what this film is about now, which is what I like, because I didn't know what the hell was going on in the other trailers. Now I have an idea. And like people have mentioned, I think it's basically about a war between the past and the future. That's basically what I think is going on. Strong trailer.
Well, I'm going, so any tips will be welcome.
Still, no one doesn't know how to do action. We know that. We know this. So the music and the editing is helping this, but the action is not really on point per se.
What do you think we're saying?
But we've got the right mood.
The detritus of it all.
It's a war. So basically what I think is happening, guys, and this is just a speculation, is the past fighting against the future. So people in the past have figured out a way to use inversion, and they're trying to, or maybe it's the other way around, and trying to take over the future. Anyway, look, that's what I think is going on.
We'll have a good plan. That part is a little dramatic.
Yeah, guys, strong trailer. Let me stop this. Strong trailer. Strong trailer. You see, the thing is, you fool me once, shame on you. Fool me once, you won't get fooled again. To quote a former president, you won't fool me again. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me once, you won't get fooled again. According to George W. But you see, the thing is, right? I went into Dark Knight Rises, I was guns blazing, man. Because you know what I've said personally. We know that Half Hope has been switched up and I was against Dark Knight. Phantom of Hope was against Dark Knight, but I've been pro Dark Knight. You know, everybody knows that. I rank that film very highly. Not as a Batman movie, but as a thriller, it's one of the better ones. And it's better than Heat. Call me. I've been saying that for years. People were about attacking me. I'm like, yes. Sure, you don't have Pacino and De Niro in it, but it says. And after that, like everything that's come out afterwards, I'm like Inception, the idea was good. The idea was good. The execution, I was like, wait a minute, reported the stream. Wait a minute, what do you mean? Was the stream reported because I was streaming? Somebody reports me? What happened? Tell me, guys. I don't know what's going on. Is there like a technical glitch? Like we got cut off or something? Yo, what happened? What happened? Tell me, what happened? Did they stop the stream on YouTube? Guys, are you kidding me? What a bunch of losers, man. What a bunch of losers. So wait a minute. So how much of it got cut off? Like they cut off like while I was streaming or midway through the trailer. What a bunch of clowns. What a bunch of clowns, man. So wait a minute. So wait, am I back? Jeez. All right, listen, am I back? Because I can't tell. Guys, am I back? Am I back on Facebook and YouTube? Am I back? So how long was I cut off for? How long did they take me off air? I just need to know so I know what not to do in future so I don't get this issue. And also, I need to figure out, like, is that going to mess up the upload? So, like, is the upload not going to stay on? You know, so when I finish the show, is it going to be on the page, or are they going to take down the upload? See, now that's just so annoying. So, are they going to take down the whole show because I had a bit of a trailer in there? Oh my Lord! So that means that they might actually take down the whole upload. They might take the whole upload down. And that's what I don't understand about these clowns. I'm like, the trailer, the whole point of the trailer is that you're promoting your film. So don't you want people to just, as many people to watch it as possible? Like, that's not like a violate. I don't understand that. Like, it's a trailer. So they should at least make the trailer exempt from whatever things that they're doing. Yeah, it records offline as well. So I might have to, oh, that's so stupid. But even if it's recording offline, that means that I can't, even if I chopped up the video and I posted pieces of the video, then it's not going to allow me to. Anyway, who cares? Look, these people are jokers. All right, look, guys, so let's get back into business. What was I saying? Let's get back in the game. All right, look. So, you know, as I was saying, Inception, I was like, okay, look, you know, whatever. Then we went down to, I respect the film, respect it. But I was like, listen, it's not the most entertaining movie I've ever seen in my life. And it was way too long. It took 40 minutes for the movie to even start, like, really. So, and I went to see it two times because I'm, you know, Nolan is my guy. So I went to watch the movie. Then the next film that came out was really bad. Wait, what was it? It was Rises, wasn't it? Was it Rises? Yes, it was. It was Rises. Dark Knight Rises. I've seen that film one time, and I watched that film one time in the cinema. Watched that film in the cinema. I've never watched that film again. It's a disgraceful movie. Like I said, that from the second that you take Batman and you put him in the daytime, broad daylight, like 12 noon, in a crowd. I was like, this. At that point, I'm like, the whole film is invalid as far as I'm concerned. Like, that in itself. Second of all, for half the movie, the guy's in a cave, trying to climb out of a cave. He was injured for like the entire beginning of the film and having to strap his leg. But then mysteriously, by the end of the film, the guy is jumping around and doing things. I'm like, wait a minute, isn't this the same guy that had that thing on his leg where he could barely walk and the doctor said that he had zero cartilage in his knee? I know what that's like because I've had knee injuries. I'm like, you're finished. It's over. It's game, set, match. So when I saw that, I'm like, oh, wait, you've basically wrecked Batman. Like, he's completely finished. So there's nowhere for you to really go. His back was broke. Like, everything was messed up. And then by the end, the guy's actually fighting and holding his own against Bane, who you've built up to be this ridiculously strong, superhuman fighter. Come on, guys, let's get real. Anyway, so we move forward. And that film was on. Then we get Interstellar, and I was like, guys, that film, I couldn't stand the movie. I'm sorry, I really didn't like that film. You know, again, I always respect all these guys' films because the quality of the film, like the actual process, the production value is always high. But Interstellar was, I watched that film once. That was a one-time watch. Dunkirk, one-time watch, boring. No intensity, no energy. And I was like, this is supposed to be a war movie. And second of all, I was like, wait a minute, this Dunkirk thing, where are all the other like minorities? And I'm not a social justice guy, trust me. I'm not an SJW by war by any means, but I'm just like, look, be at least a bit historically accurate if you're making this out to be this real look at what happened. Like, where are all the other groups of soldiers that were on this beach? Because people have talked about this repeatedly, that whenever they do these films about World War II, they always leave out all these other groups of people from the Commonwealth that fought on behalf of the British against the Nazis. So I'm like, where the hell are they? You know? And the film itself, I thought it was boring, so I didn't like that film either. So we come to it at last, the turn of the tide, as Gandalf said. And it's Tenet, okay? And I was like, I am not going to be excited, because I do not want to guys, I'm just going to ask you guys, no spoilers in no spoilers in this, please, okay? No spoilers. So that just don't, I don't want, because I'm in a place where it's going to be hard for me to get to see some of these films that are coming out now. So I really, you know what, I might actually go dark, you know, from Monday, like from the time that Tenet actually comes out, I'm going to go dark because people are just flap their lips a little bit too much. They're too loose with their lips, you know. And I'm going to, somebody's going to post something, and they're going to spoil the movie. Okay, so I might go dark, completely offline from Monday. Okay, but so please, no spoilers. Anyway, so we come to Tenet, right? And I'm not going to get excited for the simple fact that I've been let down too many times. Okay. So yes, I'm hopeful that it's going to be good, but I'm just like, you know, the trailer, I'm like, this last trailer was pretty good trailer, you know, pretty good. This particular last trailer that just came out, this Travis Scott trailer, pretty good trailer, but I'm not going to get tricked. I'll be there to watch it, but I'm not going to let myself get tricked. Is it a sequel to? Yeah, man, I'm not even going to go on Twitter. I'm not going on Twitter. I'm going dark. Like from Monday, I'm out. Like, you know, I'm not going on Twitter. I'm not going to put on no Facebook, nothing. Because people are going to they're going to spoil this thing. And the thing is, I've got to figure out how the hell I'm going to watch it, because I'm not in a country now that it's going to be easy to get to see this film. So I'm going to have to figure out how I'm going to do this. And second of all, with Warner Brothers, I'm like, come on, guys, there's a pandemic going on, guys. How are you not going to give people the option to do streaming at home? Come on, man. You know, I mean, let's get real here. So you're telling people that we've got to actually risk going out to the cinema and risk your health, and people could possibly be dying just to watch your picture. I mean, I do it, but I'm just saying in general, you know, you should give guys under the circumstances the option of buying this ticket at home. $20, man, $19.99. Can't go wrong with that. You make your dough. And I think that if they did that, they would actually make a ridiculous amount of money, because a lot of people are still going to go to the cinema and a lot of people are going to watch this film at home. All right, so that's my view on the, what am I saying, on Tenet. And I'm going to watch it with hope that the film is going to be on point. Going to watch it with hope. All right, guys, let me go back to Batman trailer, and let me bring in a guy here. So Batval, are you still there? Let me give you this link. Let me give you this link. How do you guys, how do you send a private chat in this thing? How do you send a private chat? Yeah. How do you send a private chat? Oh yeah, he's supposed to receive a call. That's why they don't want to do that, right? Let me throw this. Anyway, guys, look. Let me try. I'm trying to do this. How do you send a private chat? All right, look. Anybody who wants to, I'm just going to put it up for everybody. I'm going to just put it up for everybody. Anybody who wants to get in the queue, that's the link, guys. If you want to get in the queue, get in the queue. I'll pull in who I want to pull in. I'm not going to pull everybody in, but you know, we're going to be talking Batman now. You know, hey Vito Pazela, welcome. Vito, everybody can say Vito, welcome to being your mind being freed. We have a new Talkback member. Listen, every Talkback member means something. Okay, it's a big deal when a mind is freed. So Vito, I would like you to say how your mind was freed, what video it was you watched, what transmission you watched, whose lips were flapping at the moment that you realized that, my goodness, my mind is now open to what fandom really means, and I need to join this movement of Talkback. Let us know. It's a very, listen, Vito, there are guys who've been here for 12 years. 12 years, they're 12 years deep, Talkback people. Because as those who've been here a long time know, the Merc, Have Hope, Phantom of Hope, you know, all the usual suspects who've been doing Talkback. We're not always around, but the philosophy always lives. So we always come back to try and, you know, when there's key moments in the fandom era, you know, key moments in time, one of us is always going to come back to check the temperature of what's going on, which is what I'm doing now, because there's a lot of things going on. And I've just come back in the last few weeks to check the temperature of what is going on. The Merc. So please, Vito, let us know, you know, your story. Babal, I'm seeing you here. I don't see a video. Your cam isn't working. I'm going to pull you in, but your cam isn't working. What we're going to be doing now is, guys, I've already talked about the Batman trailer, but now we're going to go into an in-depth analysis into what was the footage we witnessed. You know, we're going to now fully glean, like really massage the topic and really get in there and like talk about what we saw. Babal, I can't see you. You've got no video, so I don't know what's going on. Also, guys, listen, I'm really sorry about this Talkback Classics. I mean, I should have, like, I was supposed to do it like last Monday. I've just, so much is going on, you know, that I just have been all over the place. But it is Ghostbusters, okay? The proper Ghostbusters, not that rubbish that came out. The real Ghostbusters, 1984. That is going to be the next Talkback Classics. And then the Talkback Classic episode after that will be Beverly Hills Cop, okay? So we're going to go Ghostbusters, and then we're going to do Beverly Hills Cop. And I know that it's going to be easier if I can actually have a set schedule. But my goodness, guys, like the amount of things that the market is having to deal with these days, that's going to be very, very challenging. It's going to be very challenging. Batsval, are you coming on or not? Listen, what's going on? Look, Rusty Shackleford, do you want to get on the line? You want to get on the line? Let's talk about this Batman situation. I mean, realistically, I only wanted to have one person on today, but Batman seems to be having trouble getting himself on here. So I might be able to pull somebody else in the meantime. What the hell is going on here? I might be able to pull somebody else on in the meantime till Baval gets himself figured out. Yeah, guys. So yeah, those are going to be the next two. Going to be doing that, but I think, look, I think the first thing that's going to be coming out, I think the hot topic now is the stuff that we're dealing with. These three things: Tenet, Wonder Woman, 1984, and Batman. Those are like the hot topics at this point. So we're going to be dealing with those tonight. I'm going to be trying to chop up this video, so I'm going to find where the video is saved, and I'm going to post just the clips so that people can just digest the little sections when we talk about it. From what I'm hearing, a lot of the Tenet section went offline. You know, I think YouTube got me. You know, I didn't even know that they did that. I didn't know that they could do it like while you were broadcasting. Like, yeah, I didn't know that they could actually nix your stream mid-broadcast. Batval, I see you, but you have no feed, like you have no video. I don't see a video on your thing. I see you in the waiting room. You have no video feed. I saw something coming up. Are you like, I see your avatar popping up, but I see no video feed still. Look, who's getting on here? Baval, I see no feed. Could you type in the chat room what's going on so I know what's happening? Yeah, I see that you're trying it again, but I'm like, I see no video feed. What is wrong with your device? Is not connected. It's saying device is not connected. Yes, Rusty, they did detect it. Okay, look, while this is happening, I'm gonna take some questions here. Let me scroll back. Let's take some questions. Pattinson seems to be the Tom Hardy character. What do you mean the Tom Hardy? Oh, in Tenet. Yes. Okay, that's a Tenet thing. Yeah. I think obviously it looks like Inception Part 2. Really, the whole setup, the big job. You get this guy in on this mission, and blah blah blah. You know, it seems like the same sort of thing. Let's get another question in here. Sam Collins, just based off the reviews I've read about Tenet, I think it may be one of Nolan's films that will benefit from most from repeat viewing, just to fully understand everything with the story. Yeah, you know, you don't really want to have films like that. Let me be real. Like, if you're going to spend that kind of money on a movie, you don't want to have to watch it multiple times just to know what's going on. I wouldn't advise that as a business model, personally. Let me see now. Warner Bros. Might be calling people. I don't know what you were saying something on your background. Yeah, man, I can't find. Okay, there was also the Snyder Cut. Okay, let's get this on here. There was also the Snyder Cut teaser, but I don't know if that needs further discussion. Was there? Listen, man, I've tuned out of that. I didn't even pay attention to that. So I didn't. Was there? You know what? I don't even want to watch that now because these guys are going to mess my stream up. I don't even want to watch that live. Let me see. Guys, Rusty, who is getting on the line? Who's getting on the line? What's going on here? Who's coming on? I put the link up. Somebody so who's getting on to discuss this Batman thing? Or should I just keep rambling? You know what? I might just keep rambling. So, see, the thing is, right? For me, you've got to have a plan. You've got to have a plan. I don't know what the plan is, because the Batman now gets released. Then what? Then what? The Batman Part 2? Do we get like a whole other thread of movies? Because when I'm watching that movie, I'm like, this film doesn't even necessarily connect to Joker. Todd Phillips has already said that Joker is supposed to be standalone. So they weren't really necessarily thinking about Batman when they made that movie. But the problem is that Joker is a Batman villain. So you should be thinking about connecting it to Batman, because the Joker is really, yeah, you made a good movie, but like the whole point of Joker is that his villain is the guy is Batman. He's against Batman, right? So I'm just reading Sam Collins' comments, which I don't even understand. What does this mean? What? Zach showed it on the panel. For some reason, they played Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah during the trailer, which Snyder used back in Watchmen in the sex scene. It didn't fit at all. Somebody's going to have to explain to me what that's about. Somebody's going to have to explain to me what that's about, guys. Yeah, like I said, so we've actually talked so much about the Snyder Cut that I actually agree. There is nothing more to be said. There's nothing more to be said. Even if you released as much, I mean, look, there's only so much footage you can release without watching the whole movie. But what's the point, Rusty, can somebody tell me, Rusty Shackelford or Bat, are you coming on this stream? If not, I might actually move topics to something else and then, digress, because I'm actually holding this Batman segment because Baba requested to jump in, so I'm assuming he has some points to make. So somebody's got to come in now or forever hold your peace. All right? Or forever hold your peace. Yeah, so nothing really more to be said about that topic. And I think that's part of why I said it's so confusing, because you're having a fandom event. You're having an event where there are characters within the same universe. So you're basically seeing two Batman-contained projects with different Batmen. And they're going to now further complicate matters by having all the various Batmen in the Flash movie. So I'm like, if you weren't confused before, we're now going to really confuse you, because we're now going to have every Batman that's ever existed. For all you know, George Clooney's Batman might come back. I mean, if they're doing the multiverse thing, him going through time, We're going to see Michael Keaton's Batman. We're going to see George Clooney's Batman. Val Kilmer has medical issues, obviously, so he won't be able to do it. We're going to see Ben Affleck's Batman. I guess Robert Pattinson's Batman is busy, so you have to make an appointment because he's currently engaged in making his film. I mean, the whole situation is so confusing to me that I'm like, what thread are you actually paying attention to? That's what I want to know. Sam Collins is saying that this thing is 4 hours. I mean, wow. What are you going to put? How long was the original Justice League movie? If this one is 4 hours, how long was the original Justice League film? The one that came out in the cinema, how long was that? 3 hours? 2 hours 20? I don't remember, but you know what? Let me think. Did I watch Justice League in the cinema? Did I? Yo, I can't remember. Did I watch? Guys, I do not remember how. Oh my God, I can't remember how I watched that film, but Batman v Superman. Did I? I think I did watch that in the cinema. I think I did watch Batman v Superman in the cinema, and I watched Justice League bootleg. Yeah. Yeah, I watched Batman v Superman in the cinema, and I did. I watched that in the cinema. Yeah, man. I mean, yeah, but that's crazy. You see, this is a crazy thing this is how they messed me up. It was 2 something. This is how they've messed me up, right? I don't actually, because usually when I watch these films, it leaves a very indelible memory on me, Like I always remember where I saw particular films, and especially when it comes to Superman and Batman films and all that. I remember if I saw it in the cinema, I actually do not categorically remember how I watched Batman v Superman and Justice League. I am fairly sure Justice League I bootlegged. I'm fairly sure about that. Batman v Superman, I think I saw it in the cinema, but I can't be sure. I mean, that just goes to show what the hell's going on. All right, look, Baval, what's going on? I'm going to listen, guys, I have to put this on a timer, like the next 2 minutes. I can't be waiting here more than 2 minutes. Otherwise, I've got to keep this talkback train moving. All right, I see Rusty here, so I'm going to bring Rusty in first. Yes.
Merc, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, fantastic. How's the evening treating you?
Whew. I was trying to play Batman Arkham Knight a few minutes ago. Then I saw you had 11 o'clock stream.
All right, okay. You know what's funny? I never actually finished that game. I never finished it.
Yeah, I got tired of all the Batmobile stuff very early, but I started playing again.
Oh, so you didn't finish it either?
No.
Yeah, you know what I got up to? I remember what the bit I got up to. I got up to the part where you're flying around on the buildings, and this weird demon thing just appears out of nowhere.
Yeah, the Man-Bat.
Yeah, that is where I stopped, and I just stopped playing. I was like, man, I can't be bothered to do this anymore. And then I never went back. But I do remember that the game was actually quite good.
It is. It just turns into a Twisted Metal game with the amount of time you have to do tank battles in the Batmobile. So really, I just want to be running around the rooftops and beating up people.
Right. Yeah, with the Batmobile. Yeah, you know what? I would play it again. I'd continue from where I stopped, because I did like, what was that one that was before it?
Arkham City.
Yes, I like
with Hugo Strange.
I finished that. What do you say?
Hugo Strange and Ra's al Ghul were in it.
Yeah, I finished Arkham City. Because it was Arkham Asylum then Arkham City, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then Warner Brothers Montreal did Arkham Origins, which I don't think probably wasn't as good as the other two games, but it's still set in the same universe.
Right. I never played that one.
And this new Suicide Squad game is supposed to take place after Arkham Knight, or well, I don't know if it's after the game, but it's in that same world by Rocksteady.
Oh, right. Yeah. Anyway, so this trailer, let's just get some thoughts about this trailer. So, as I've said, I don't know, were you on when I was talking about it, or did you miss that bit?
I think I heard. I might have come into the stream a little late. I think you were talking about Tenet.
Oh yeah, that was afterwards. Yeah, I'd already finished Batman then. All right, then I'll just reiterate what I said. I mean, look, basically, it looks like a TV show to me.
Looks like Daredevil.
Yeah, it looks like a TV show. It looks like a CW TV show. It doesn't look any better than Gotham or Batgirl trailers. Not the show. I'm just talking about when I saw the trailer for Batgirl and the trailer for Gotham, right? It's as good. That is the level it is. Like it looks like a TV show, part one. Part two is the villains that he's fighting look like children. They look like teenagers. I'm like, what is going, like, why do the villains look so young and skinny and wiry? And, again, that actually adds to my feeling of it being a TV show, because it looks like you've got these youngsters, coming in and, let me add this guy in here. Hold on. It looks like you've got these youngsters coming in, and how am I supposed to take you seriously? That's my
talking
thing.
about all the henchmen, all those henchmen on the streets with the makeup on.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like. Do you know what it looks like? You remember Karate Kid 1?
Yeah.
With LaRusso. You remember those LaRusso bad guys with the skeleton suits in the Halloween costume? No, tell me if I'm wrong.
It's like something out of the Warriors.
Yeah, listen, that is the actual best comparison. Is the what do they call it? When LaRusso was fighting those guys at the end of the party, the Halloween party, right? And they chase him and he tries to get over the gate and they beat him up and all that. That is what this looks like. That it has the same vibe of that. Like, it's like we're looking at Batman, teen Batman, when he was like testing things out, he's in high school. And I'm like, wait a minute, but didn't we just had a Gotham TV show that was basically doing that? So what you make a film, and so I'm watching this. That's part two. That's the second thing. The third thing, positively wise, I like the suit. But the suit doesn't look that dramatically different to the Nolan Batman suit. And it is not as good as the Snyder suits. So, yeah, I might like the suits, but there haven't really been any bad Batman suits except for the Joel Schumacher ones. And not all of them. Val Kilmer's one was all right. I mean, it's the bloody Batman and Robin one with nipples that was rubbish. So, at the end of the day, in my view, the positives I would take is that it's nice that it's a dark film. I always like Jeffrey Wright in everything he does, so I think it's going to be a great Commissioner Gordon. The tone of it, I like the tone of it being serious and all that. So that's all fine. But that's all run-of-the-mill stuff. I also like the fact that it's the Riddler that they're using. Finally, which doesn't make sense. I'm like, how did it take this long to do the most obvious Batman? I mean, Joker is number one, obviously. But like Riddler, I'm like, wow, it took this long to do a proper Riddler. I mean, they put Riddler in, obviously, in Batman Forever, but we know how that went down. So the point I'm making is, when you're looking at this film, the film to me doesn't even feel like a film. It feels like it's a TV show pilot. It feels like this is a pilot to a series. When you then see Robert Pattinson as Bruce Wayne, that confused the hell out of me. Because I'm like, this guy looks like, this is supposed to be a billionaire tycoon, playboy. Seriously. No, I'm actually that footage you saw is supposed to be a billionaire tycoon playboy. A la, okay, you know who Dan Bilzerian is, right? Yeah, okay. So now he's been caught up because they're saying everything was a lie, but who cares? The whole point is the image. Dan Bilzerian, the concept of Dan Bilzerian is Bruce Wayne.
He kind of looks like him too.
Yeah, listen, this is such. They should never let the Merc make a Batman film. They should never let me make a Batman film. Because I'm like, Dan Bilzerian is Bruce Wayne. The guy, you know, when he's doing his weights and he has all these little videos on Instagram, if you're making a Batman for the current era, he's got to be on Instagram. He simply has to be on Instagram. He's got to be on Instagram, have a Twitter feed. He's got to be doing the kinds of things Dan Bilzerian does. Like, that is who Bruce Wayne is. Because the whole point of the comics, remember when the comics, they said that the whole point of Bruce Wayne was, it's supposed to make you never imagine it's the same guy. Like, you would never even think, because of how over the top Bruce Wayne is supposed to be, you would never imagine it's the same person doing the things that Batman is doing. So it's literally like night and day to the general public. So it would just never occur to you. And that is the one factor that I feel like in general they've never gotten right, is the difference between the Bruce Wayne and Batman character, that they've always been generally quite close. Always generally quite close. So even the Bruce Wayne versus Batman, Bale's Bruce Wayne was still very melancholy. He was still very, moody. Yes, they try to throw in the fancy parties and the banquets and the stuff, but you never really got that thing of like, if somebody told you that this guy's Batman, you'd be like, nah, no way in hell. You'd be like, yeah, like, he kind of seems depressed,
Mark, the interesting thing about that is it's not even a physical thing, right? Like,
your volume is low.
Can you hear me now?
That's better.
That's better.
No, I'm saying the interesting thing about that is it's not even a physical thing. So, when you see someone like Robin Williams, who has, like, I don't want to say bipolar, but like a manic high, and he's always on and he's like entertaining and blah, 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 and this and that. And you don't know, because of his showy exterior and that manic energy, the psychology that's going on underneath or what he's actually dealing with. And Bruce Wayne's the same way. He's a mover and shaker. So he goes in a room, shaking hands with everybody, knows everybody, talking, always up. So you don't picture this as the same brooding, intense, barely saying anything Batman. So it's that contradiction. It's like you see it with people like Robin Williams all the time.
Your volume is really low. It's hard to hear what you're saying. I can hear you, but it's really low.
Hold on. I'll switch it now.
Yeah, and well, from what I could hear anyway, yes, I agree with that. I think, yes, it doesn't even necessarily have to be being super flamboyant and like having all the all the stuff around you per se. At least if you have the difference in, basically, I just have never seen the playboy Bruce Wayne. They've never really done that. The closest, which is why I picked Val Kilmer, was Val Kilmer. That's why I picked him as like the best Bruce Wayne, is that at least he was the closest version of, okay, they're at least trying to do this happy-go-lucky version of Bruce Wayne. But I don't think it was even as effective as it could have been, personally. But yeah, no, I mean, honestly, I don't know what you thought. Like, okay, Rusty.
I didn't get a whole lot of Pattinson from that trailer. It felt like he had only 2 or 3 scenes. There's one at the end where he takes off the mask and you see his eyeliner on. There's another scene where he pulls somebody from in front of a speeding SUV that's crashed into a building and he looks all pissed off. But you just don't get a whole lot of Bruce Wayne in the trailer. The very first scene when he walks in with Gordon, which is kind of weird. You do see him just standing there at the crime scene, in full view of the police. I thought that was kind of odd. But I feel like that and the part where he's beating the shit out of the people on the street, that's really the best view you get of any of him.
Of who? Batman?
Of Batman.
Oh yeah, I mean, look, but you know what? With a trailer, you only need glimpses to really get a vibe of where you're going. Listen, from my point of view, I'm looking at this Bruce Wayne and I'm like, how the hell is this Bruce Wayne? That's my thing. I do not listen. Obviously, like I said in my segment when I actually was looking at the trailer, obviously they've gone in a different direction, right? Obviously, because if this is your Bruce Wayne that looks this way, that has matted, drooping hair, that no, but seriously, because when you look at the footage, even if for the few seconds you see him, can one of you guys explain to me how that is Bruce Wayne?
He looks like Terry McGinnis. He looked like he'd do a good Batman Beyond movie.
Okay, I mean, I don't know what to say because I'm just like I'm genuinely confused. I'm genuinely confused because I'm looking at this and I'm like, I don't know what are you going for? Because it's like if it is that you're going for that the teenage years of Batman when he was depressed, that's a very different kind of movie. I didn't know that that's the movie you guys were trying to make. You see what I'm saying? Like they're showing when Batman was starting and trying to figure out who he was. Yes, he was the heir to this billionaire fortune, but he really didn't want to be. Maybe that's what they're doing. So it's do you know what it is? It's Twilight Batman. No, I'm dead serious. It's the angst Batman. It's the teen angst. It's like, I don't want this. I don't want to be this person. I don't want any of this. La, 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 la. But then I'm like, that sort of thing. Because for some reason, I saw a clip in there of somebody that looked like Catwoman. What?
Yeah,
Who was that girl?
Catwoman's in it.
Why?
That's Zoe Kravitz, I think, plays her.
Why?
Yep.
Why? Why?
You know what it is too. It's a mix, right? So the aesthetic's very modern, and you know, a lot of people talk about Matt Reeves, but there's a co-writer on the script called Thompson or Mattson Tomlin. He's 30 years old. So if he's 30 years old, he grew up with Batman '89, Returns most likely, animated series, and the guy wrote a short script a couple years ago called Solomon Grundy. Then he wrote a feature script called Solomon Grundy. He writes about 10 scripts a year. But when you look at what we saw in the trailer, it's a mix, right? So you see a little bit animated series. You see the fire propulsion from the Batmobile. You see Gordon at a crime scene and Batman walking up to him. They have that kind of relationship. You see Batman getting to fight with the GCPD. So there's animated series elements to it, but then there's a modern type of, probably some of it coming from Reeves, some of it coming from Pattinson himself, where you're right, it is more of like the longer hair, the maybe like a Terry McGinnis type of look, but I think this is going to function and form like the animated series, but with a little bit of like teenage, not angst, but obsessive neurosisness. There was a lot of clips in the film where he had the black paint and he was obsessive, or he was like, you know, like there was like a neurosis there. Like he seems like a neurotic Batman, a very neurotic Batman, a very angry, intense Batman, which is different. But they had that scene where the car crashes into the funeral or whatever was going on there, and he was still intense. It wasn't like an up Bruce Wayne or anything like that. It was kind of an intense Bruce Wayne, and you see that more with the New 52 Bruce Wayne, which ironically starts with the Red Hood and the Riddler. And there's some kind of conspiracy because someone in the Wayne family, the corporation, is involved in some shady stuff. And that's kind of like the whole thing the Riddler's playing at of, you know, there's lies and the Wayne family and all this type of stuff. So it's a mix. I think it's going to be a little bit animated series, a little bit New 52, which, you know, if the new generation is into that Batman, then I guess that's their Batman. And that's what you pick up from it.
You know, then you ask yourself the question, who's this movie for? I mean, that's really what I mean, because that's where you get to. Because listen, this is what I don't understand, which is what with what they're doing. This is what I don't understand. You nixed the opportunity for us to see Affleck Batman, and you did that in respect to restarting the whole thing again before you even restarted it this time. So you were going to restart with this guy, and then before you even got to restart with this guy, you restarted the whole thing again with Pattinson and a new director. So you would think that the reason you're doing that is to give people something that makes sense for this generation, I guess, or is more appropriate to where you should have gone in the first place or something. But when I see the trailer, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, who is this appealing to? Is this what the young kids want to see? I don't know, because I'm like, what is it about this footage? And I'm looking at the comments on the YouTube video. People are like, oh, the dark. And these people are just muppets, man. It's like, oh, it's so dark. I'm excited now. I'm like, that is the reason why you're excited. Go and read the comments on YouTube. These people are like lemmings. They're literally like lemmings. It's like, oh man, look at the way he beat up that guy, and people thought he couldn't be Batman. I'm like, that scene makes you believe. I'm not saying he isn't good as Batman. I'm just saying that footage doesn't negate any preconceptions you might have had about whether he was going to be good as Batman or not. It shouldn't at all. So I wouldn't even go down that path. But I think it's when you start reading some of the comments and you're saying that, wait, I don't think guys are even really that discerning. So who is it that the people on YouTube represent the new audience, or they're the loudest minority, or what are we talking about here? Question.
I don't think they're thinking of
All right,
an
guys,
audience
you see,
per se.
I'm going to say something now before you go.
Yeah. Okay.
You see the silence that we just had?
We don't know who this is for.
Guys were just looking. I thought my machine was broken. I was like, wait a minute, is my sound messed up? What's going on with my equipment? Guys are confused. So I put a very, very basic statement, and guys are just like, because nobody knows what the hell is going on. No one knows. Sorry, continue.
It's a very strange. The timeline itself is kind of a strange mix. Like if you took all the Batman fiction that's happened on screen, this is like somewhere between Gotham and between Batman Begins. So you've got a Bruce Wayne that's seems like he's younger than what young Christian Bale was at the beginning of Batman Begins. So it's like it's almost like Batman just got out of college, and he has to fight these lower level villains like street level villains like Penguin and Riddler before he goes on to, I guess, your Mr. Freezes and your Banes and guys with bigger budgets. But it's clearly aimed at some sort of younger audience that I guess has watched maybe Marvel. Maybe this movie is for Marvel fans, but not Snyder fans.
Now you're getting in the direction of what I think is good. Like, that trailer is like they're trying to turn Batman into a Marvel character. It was Daredevil. It was Daredevil TV show. Like that thing that I just saw is Daredevil on Netflix or Punisher on Netflix.
But it still has more. I mean, because we've always talked about Seven and being more like a Seven type of thing. It kind of is more along that tone, though, compared to the things we've seen in the past. Like, probably the last actor we had in the Batman role was Michael Keaton. Because and Val Kilmer, but I wouldn't say Ben Affleck, and I wouldn't say Christian Bale was fully utilized as much as he should have been. But we do have an actor playing Bruce Wayne. He's not someone that doesn't have acting ability, and you can tell he's bringing an intensity to it. Now, how good the script is and where the direction goes and that type of thing, that might be to personal taste, because from what we saw of what might look like the Riddler, it's not going to be the fantastical elements. It's going to be pretty much, if you've ever seen a Paul Dano film, it's going to be Paul Dano doing what Paul Dano always does, which is good for a dramatic film, but a crime film, like kind of like a watered down Seven, more than a fantasy Batman film.
Yeah, I agree.
So have they confirmed how many villains are going to be in this movie? Because we know We've got Catwoman and Penguin and Riddler. Is there a fourth one I'm missing? Carmine They mentioned Falcone. I think you see Falcone's stuff. I think you see his name in the trailer.
Yeah, Totoro is playing Falcone.
And then, Peter Sarsgaard, I think, is supposed to be in it. Is he going to be Harvey Dent? It's like, how many bad guys do you need in one movie?
I mean, let me be real. I have to be honest with you guys. I'm not really that interested anymore. I mean, I saw that. I have to be honest. I'm actually. It sounds so crazy. I am actually not that interested. Like, of course, I'm going to watch it. Of course, but I'm only watching it because it's Batman.
Yeah, as a first trailer for any Batman movie, it's pretty underwhelming. Like, look at that first trailer for Begins or any of the Nolan movies.
Yeah, I mean,
Christopher Nolan would never have allowed this to be released into the wild.
Yeah, I mean, look, but that is what tells you this is what the film is. That's what I mean. Like, this is what it is. If this is the first trailer, this is the one that's supposed to get everybody excited. And listen, man, like that thing, it seems, listen, we've already said that we wanted a 7 thing. So I'm down with all of that. But when you do, not all you need to do is go and watch the trailer for 7, which had a budget a fraction of this.
Yeah.
Go and watch the trailer for Fight Club, which had a budget a fraction of this. Watch the trailer for Memento, which had a budget a fraction of this. You can watch the trailer for a lot of these films that are in the psychological thriller or detective mode or whatever, and they're better. They're better. Like, you really, because I'm like, listen, if you're going to go down that path, you have to make a tight trailer so the audience actually understand. This trailer was like 50-50. You're still trying to do all the cool superhero things, but you're making a movie that you're saying is not really a superhero movie. It's like a detective film. So you've got to give us, like, if it's a detective film, give us a detective thread of like, oh, there's, you know how those psychological trailers start, right? It will start with some crime, which is what they sort of did here. It'll give you something to give you an idea of who the criminal. Go and watch Silence of the Lambs trailer, for example, right? And you watch Silence of the. What's so funny about that? Why are you laughing?
Because that's a good example.
Oh,
like Silence of the Lambs is probably the one that does it best.
Yes. So you watch Silence of the Lambs trailer, and you're like, that is how you do this sort of trailer. And for me, it's like, if they did that with this, do you know that would change everything of what I'm saying? Like, and listen, I just don't think it's that type of movie, so they couldn't even make that trailer out of it. But if they tried to do that trailer, and you start with the crime, then you start with like the analysis of, or the basic quick, in a few seconds, the breakdown of who the villain is. Remember that in 7, it goes, sloth, blah, 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 blah. We can expect X number, we can expect 7 more of these or whatever, right? Like, you just get a very quick idea of like, oh, okay, this is who the bad guy is. This is what he does. In this trailer, do you know the only reason why we know it's the Riddler is because we know it's the Riddler. You have to be a fan of Batman to know, just from watching that trailer, what this guy does.
I was even confused at the very beginning. The guy had you see the Riddler with the wrap around his face. You don't know it's the Riddler until you start seeing the cards that he's been leaving for Batman. It's okay, that's the Riddler.
I knew just because it was a riddle. I knew because it started as a riddle. Like, that's how I knew. I was like, it's a Batman movie, and I see the writer when he wrote that thing on the thing, and I'm like, okay, Nolan sort of messed up the Joker by making the Joker do stuff like this, but I know that's not what Joker really does, right? So when I saw that thing, I'm like, this is a typical Riddler thing, question mark. He writes something, it's a question. I'm like, okay, this is definitely a Riddler. That's how I saw it from the first scene. So I was looking at it, I'm like, I didn't even need to get to the card to know that, okay, this is what we're talking about. Anyway,
was it that bad though? Because we talked about action before and the fighting, and the last one before this one was Snyder, and Snyder does it in a very visual, choreographed type of way, but it's the kind of visual, choreographed type of way that you would see in a video game, so you don't feel the fighting or the brutality of it because it's very choreographed, sort of say. This one, the way it was shot is steady camera, one shot. Batman and the Thug takes him down in an aggressive manner. Camera doesn't really move a lot, which is probably the best way to do it. So it was a much more felt aggressiveness, but also again, a lot of the sequences, if you take away the surface, right? Because some people lean towards the realism of, say, Nolan. Some people lean towards the fantasy of Burton and, Returns. And I think it's always important to see which one of the two you are. I lean more towards the fantasy of Returns. So bring me the full-on outfits, bring me everything, the atmosphere, Riddler with the green suit and hat. I don't like the whole realism thing. But we haven't had anybody do something in between. And I don't know why nobody does something in between. And this is taking the realistic approach. So the Riddler looks like he's a guy that wraps people's heads in plastic tape, writes something on them, they can't breathe or whatever it is, maybe they suffocate. But even his outfit looks like it's just a bunch of tape wrapped around his face with maybe some goggles. So I don't know if that's just a character thing, that there's some kind of reasoning behind that in his character, but it's definitely not a traditional fantasy Riddler look. But if you take that away, if you take that visual superficial surface away, the actions of the script is very animated series. You see the Gordon and Batman thing, similar to what Nolan did. You see, I guess what I'm saying is the engine underneath it is very Batman. The visuals and the atmosphere and the aesthetic is very different. But the actions, there's a crime scene, they're talking to each other, that type of stuff. Catwoman's burglarizing. She's categorized as a burglar. She even has a mask that's like a burglar's type of mask. She's trying to break into the safe. She comes down through the ceiling with the rope, which is a very animated series type of thing or comic book type of thing. So when you look at the framing and you look at the actions of the characters and the tone and what's going on, it's completely animated series. It's completely a Batman animated series or a New 52 Batman. The aesthetic is different in what Pattinson looks like, but I'm willing to bet those were his choices. So he is the type of actor that likes to make his own choices. He likes to do his own character work. And I could see Reeves saying, okay, you want a longer haircut, have a longer haircut. But I think those were his choices, but the engine of it seems very Batman-esque. It seems familiar in that sense, with the younger element to it.
Yes, okay, fair enough. I can accept that. I just feel like they're trying to pander to an audience that we've seen time and time again do not give a damn about anything for more than 5 seconds. And you will never compete with Fast and the Furious for an audience like that, or the Avengers for an audience like that. Those films came with them. Those films created them. So for you to take a classic character and try and make that character work for those kinds of folks, you're better off teaching people or reprogramming them to like the kinds of things that they should like, which is what I respect Nolan for doing. Nolan is releasing a movie like Tenet in this environment. I respect that attitude of like, listen, this is how you do the same thing with Martin Scorsese doing The Irishman and stuff like that. It's like, or even Spike Lee making The Five Bloods. They're doing what they do, and you come there and you respect it. If you can't get with it, then you don't show up. That's your business. But they're making quality content. The problem with this that I'm looking at, I'm like, all you say may be true. But even if that is the case, and yes, listen, the base level of it, of course, whenever you would read any of the good Batman's runs of comics, that's how it was, there's a crime that would happen at the beginning of the comic. Batman wouldn't even be present for the first 5 pages or 10, whatever pages, right? And you'd have like some setup of like what the thing is. At least for this, listen, if it's a sequence of 3 or 4 episodes or 3 or 4 issues, yes, okay, in the next issue it'll be different. But for the beginning of whatever storyline that was, you would have the setup for the thing, then Batman would show up, then he would investigate the crime scene, then you would get Commissioner Gordon, then you would get scenes with the villain, then you'd go back to Batman and it would be an investigation, blah blah. And those were actually very fulfilling comics. You enjoyed it, you got into it. The films haven't really done that till, like you're saying, now is the first time that, yes, okay, look, the way they've set this up, the foundation is good. The idea is like, yeah, this is sort of the direction I always thought it should go in, which is why I'm even bringing up things like Silence of the Lambs and Seven and everything. It's like, yeah, the way that they've done this is like, you would think this is sort of how Batman should be. But the surface material, I'm looking and I'm like, listen, as a grown man watching that, it's not going to be easy for me to connect with what I'm seeing. It's going to be really hard. Like, just from watching the trailer, I'm like, this doesn't make me want to watch the film. It looks more like the kind of thing like a teenager would want to watch. Maybe that's what they're trying to do, but I'm like, that's a big mistake, because those guys, you might get them for your opening weekend, but they're not going to hang around. You are way better off doing something that really appeals to the core Batman audience. And that audience will always affect the kids. Always. It's the way it goes. They're going to affect them because those teenagers are looking up to certain people. So if you do something that's going to appeal to those core people, it's going to invariably affect them, and they're going to, and if it's a good movie, it's a good movie. That's how I see it. So when I'm looking at this, I'm like, all these choices that we're talking about does make a difference, because when you're casting Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman and Robert Pattinson is Batman and Paul Dano is your Riddler, you kind of know which direction you're going in. You know what I'm like? There is no weight there. Like, there's no like person that has that gravitas other than Jeffrey Wright.
Yeah. Where is your Morgan Freeman and your Michael Caine in this movie?
Yeah, like
Christopher
you need
or Liam Neeson. Colin Farrell is the biggest guy in the movie, and you can barely recognize him as the Penguin.
But does that leave more room for Pattinson to kind of shine in the role? So you know how every Batman film, no one's really been focused on the Batman character, the Bruce Wayne character per se. It's always been the villains. It's always been the Alfreds. It's always been. Yes, but I'm seeing. Let me put it this way. So in a sense, I'm getting from Pattinson what I would have expected to get from Christian Bale. So when you saw Christian Bale in Equilibrium, you see this intensity, you see this dramatic role, you see him in American Psycho, and you think, and people thought that he would bring that to Batman, and in Batman Begins, he sort of does. But I think the aesthetic was a little different, and the tone of the film was a little different. And like you said, there was other big actors that are kind of, Liam Neeson was a great role and a big actor, Michael Caine, a bunch of other people.
But Scarecrow never took over the movie.
Cillian Murphy, but he's still a really good actor. But I didn't get intensity. I got moments of intensity. But when you look at the little that we've seen of this Bruce Wayne, and you look at Pattinson when he's in the suit, you look at him, when he sees the guy holding up his hand with the telephone and signed in the envelope after he crashes the car saying a letter to Batman or whatever, he has this look on his face that, one, it's intense, and I can't say I would place that second to any of the other actors, because I think it's one of the best acting I've seen from a Batman character showing intensity. And two, he's in the funeral, the car crashes, and he turns and he looks at the guy with the letter taped to his chest saying to Batman, and he kind of has this look on his face as Bruce Wayne, and it's this intense, sort of angry type of, you could say emo or grunge type of look, but a very intense look nonetheless.
It was emo, man. It was emo.
Yeah, it definitely was. But I guess what I'm saying is I'm picking up, this is a Batman that broods. This is a Batman that's intense. He's obsessive. He's brutal with his fighting. He's younger and thin, yeah, but with the suit, you don't notice it too much. So maybe I could get used to a thin Bruce Wayne, even though I'm a proponent of the the biggest, muscular, most alpha business billionaire type of Bruce Wayne you would probably ever see. And I have mentioned Dan Bilzerian in the past precisely because he looks like what I would expect a Bruce Wayne to look like. And
Listen,
you
that
know,
was
I
a
even
good
suggest
call, man. That was missed.
I even suggested casting him and then having a body double be the Batman, so he does it, you know, to kind of do the fighting.
I said that off the top of my head. I said it off the top of my head. Now I can't get it out of my head.
Nope, because when you
Dan
pull,
Bilzerian, that's Batman.
when you pull up the pictures, like
rather, let me correct myself. Dan Bilzerian is Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, not Batman, but Bruce Wayne.
Right.
But I guess the point I'm saying is, I didn't like the Bale that gives speeches as Batman that has such a strained voice. His performance was handicapped. He could bring the intensity, but he didn't bring that intensity. And at the end of the day, he came across silly. So the only other person I could compare that had intensity, that was more introverted as Batman, doesn't say much, more of like a quiet figure, was Michael Keaton. And that was my favorite Batman. So this rings true to me. I don't see Pattinson giving speeches. I see him being quiet. I see him being introverted from what we saw. I see him bringing intensity to it. And out of everybody on the cast, he's probably the strongest link in terms of what he has to prove. He's not an actor that's been doing it a while, but he's not a novice either. I don't know if he's the same age as Heath Ledger when he did Joker. Maybe one's a little bit older than the other, but you know, he's done good work in the past where you could say maybe his career hasn't peaked yet and maybe he can do something interesting with it. And you have some decent actors around him. The one thing I don't like though is the Catwoman. That came across to me very weak. I think her acting's going to be very weak. I think when you're comparing her to Michelle Pfeiffer, for sure she's going to have a tough time. And when you're comparing the chemistry between Michelle Pfeiffer and Michael Keaton to Pattinson and Zoe Kravitz, for sure it's not even going to come close. But Pattinson has an easier time living up to Michael Keaton because Michael Keaton's performance was a quiet performance, like what you would get from Ryan Gosling in his films. And it's what Pattinson can do. And when you have a quiet performance like that, it's not as tough to do. Like he needs to bring the expression of intensity in his face, but you don't have so much dialogue to work with, so it's a little easier to do. Acting wise, it's almost like pantomiming or like a mime. So I think he can be as good as Keaton in the same type of vein, in that same type of tone, which I think is better than what we've been getting with Batman.
Listen, Robert Pattinson, I've said, is a good actor for a long time. I felt he had a raw deal with Twilight, you know. It was a raw deal, you know, because that series was just, you know, was something else, man, you know. Have you ever tried to watch Twilight? Like I tried ever. I tried one time in my life. Twice. I tried once when it was on Channel 4 in London, right? And 2 seconds in, I was like, this is shocking. So I just put it off. Now, I tried again big time. And this was when I was on a plane. And there's nowhere to go. I was on a plane. Like listen, there is one scene, I did not know which Twilight this was, where they're in a forest and they're just talking in a forest. I do not know what film that was. For like 15 minutes.
Sounds like all the movies.
I was like, this is like Home and Away, like Neighbors. This is Days of Our Lives. Like they were talking for 15 minutes. I mean, look, it was probably not 15 minutes, but it was a long, long time of just talking, standing. It wasn't even any dynamic scene. They were just standing in a forest, just talking. And I'm like, this is literally Sunset Beach. This is like all of those things, Bold and the Beautiful. What's the other one? Bold and the Beautiful. What's the other one? What's the other really famous one? I can't remember. General Hospital. You know, but there's another one. There's Bold and the Beautiful, and there's another one that's really famous that I cannot remember what it's called now. Santa Barbara.
Guiding Light.
Listen.
One.
Here's a
Go on.
Here's a question though. It's an interesting question. One, your thoughts on the Joker, because I'm getting the sense of, so when I saw the Joker, it was not my sense of what the Joker character is, but I liked the film because it was sort of say a film with a very strong polarity to it. You either loved it or you hated it. There was some controversy around it. It was different. It was new in a sense. It was old in a sense of it was like the films of the 70s. Matt Reeves, when he was giving his 20-minute speech, mentioned films of the 70s and that type of thing. Do you think it'll have a similar effect? Meaning, could you be watching it and thinking like what I was thinking when I was watching the Joker film, thinking like this is not Batman, this is not my kind of sense of any of this comic book, but I see a film and I like the film because I like Joker. It was a film, didn't have anything to do. I don't even regard it as a Joker film. I just regard it as a kind of standalone film, loosely based off the property. And I feel like this might head in that same direction, which could be a good or a bad thing.
I think that Joker as a movie adhered to the critical elements that are important for a Joker character. It adhered to the critical elements. So yes, it departed. Listen, for me, Joker, he's called the Clown Prince. Like, the idea is that this guy is so over the top, so theatrical, so confident within his madness. He's confident. Like, the movie that got made was obviously a very different, it was like basically, how would we make a realistic Joker? Like, if he really existed in the world, like, how would he exist? Blah, 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 blah. The comic book version and the one from the animated series, I think, is definitely more fantastical. And it's definitely a character that I associate. Like, when I think of the Joker, man, I think of, you know what? Heath Ledger is the closest thing. Like, Heath Ledger is the closest thing to the maniacal nature of the character, minus the thing about Heath Ledger's Joker that was weird was he was so calculating. That was a bit weird. So it took me a while to get used to that because I was like, wow, man, this Joker doesn't really, this guy seems extremely intelligent. I'd never really viewed the Joker as this sort of extreme intellect. I'd always thought of Riddler as being the intellectual, and I didn't think that Joker was an intellectual. I just thought he's just crazy, you know? And that was actually what made Joker so dangerous, was that you just never knew what he was going to do, because I didn't really believe Joker knew what he was going to do. You know what's funny? Batman 89, Jack Nicholson's Joker, overall, probably was the most accurate. Because if you watch that movie, I don't know when last you saw 89 movie, do you know that it feels like Jack Nicholson's Joker is just figuring out, like making up what he's going to do as he goes along? Like, it doesn't feel like he has as big an overall plan as the other iteration, like, you know, the Heath Ledger Joker and so forth. It feels generally that, you know, he's just sort of making this up as he goes along. I know we did find out that the skin products, you know, all the products, he had the laughing agent in the makeup and in the lipstick and the thing. But even that ploy, it felt like he just was sitting around one day and he just came up with that and said, oh, wouldn't that be funny? Let me just do that. That'll be a laugh. You know what I mean? It wasn't like he was trying to make this bigger philosophical points about anything.
No, he was just very much reacting to what was in front of him. So, you know, he thought, you know, Batman knocked him in the vat of acid. He comes out, goes to the hospital. He comes back. He goes to kill the old mob boss and, you know, take over his job. When he finds out that Batman's still out there, then it's like, okay, fine, I'll go out after Batman. But as he's sitting there, you know, punching his TV or shooting his television, he's not thinking of killing the entire city or coming up with some crazy plan to reveal Batman as a fraud to the world.
And that to me is the Joker. That to me is Joker, like, just from what I thought, I'm like, he's just, he is fascinated by, the only thing that really fascinates him is anarchy and Batman. That's it. And Batman is the only person that Joker doesn't want to kill. That he just doesn't want to kill. Like, that to me is the most, that those two things is what Joker, like, he's a psychopath, crazy person. He'll kill anybody. and he kills people without even thinking about it. So he's the ultimate psychopath, sociopath. Like when Joker kills somebody, it doesn't have any impact on him at all, except for Batman. Like Batman is the only character that he would never kill. Never kill him.
You know what's
Anybody
funny though
else?
is,
Sorry?
so you mentioned the Clown Prince of Crime, right? And
Yes.
that's the one thing that puts Jack Nicholson over Heath Ledger. So Heath Ledger had a great performance.
Oh no, you missed what I said. You missed what I said when you got cut off. Jack Nicholson, I said overall, when it comes to Joker, is the best representation of Joker when you take everything into account. And if you watch Batman 89 again, you realize that, wow, this guy was truly mad. Like he didn't actually have like one big overall plan. Even when it came to that pharmaceuticals thing, it felt like he just came up with that one day. Like Batman knocked him into that thing. He got something. It was almost like he felt, wouldn't it be funny if everybody had a smile on their face? And then he just started doing this thing. You know, like he didn't have this philosophical message to send to the world by everybody's crazy if you push them far enough. That is very Riddler.
You know what else you notice right away with Batman 89 is the visuals, right? So, you know, we've gone down a route recently where it's very realistic, realism based, and they strip all the characters of their visuals to where they're practically unrecognizable. But when you watch Batman 89 and you look at the visuals of Jack Nicholson, the purple suit, the mime outfit, the dance sequences, there's such an element of Batman's villains that are visual, and that's what makes him probably the best Joker.
Say that again?
That's what makes Nicholson the best Joker, is that he has the visual purple suit.
Yeah, your mic is messing up again. Your mic is messing up again.
Can you hear me now?
Okay,
Sounds
go.
pretty good.
So I'm saying he had the visual elements, the purple suit, the top hat, when he's coming down the stairs with the mime outfit, the dance sequences, and those elements imprint themselves into your mind.
Yeah. You know what, though? I would say this, and which is what you said earlier about the in-between thing. Nobody's done the in-between movie because, to be honest, that can exist in a realistic Joker movie. It can exist. There are characters in the real world, like RuPaul, for God's sake, or what's that other dude who wore the dress to the Met Gala? You know, can't remember what that guy, Billy Porter. You know, I'm like, you've got guys in real life who are ridiculously flamboyant, you know. And if you had so you can definitely create a Joker character who is just as crazy in the real world, but is wearing dresses, you know, is wearing gowns, is wearing wedding gowns, is doing what Dennis Rodman was doing in the 90s, you know. Like you can do all of that stuff in a realistic setting. That would do what you're saying. Listen, if you had a realistic Joker movie, and listen, that movie was good. There is nothing that I can detract from that film. So the way I would look at it is that, yes, you could just argue as in, is this the Joker that you would like to see? But as a film in understanding, I'm like, there's nothing to really detract from it. From what it set out to do, it was effective in doing what it set out to do. I just feel that, yes, when you think of the Joker, the classic Joker, Joaquin Phoenix's Joker does not fit with any of the Batmen that we've yet seen. He's just, that is a real person. That's a real person. Who knows? Maybe this Batman that they're making now, but the way they made it, it's so tweeny that I'm like, by the weight of reality, Joaquin Phoenix's Joker should eat this guy alive mentally. Like just in a psychological sense, like, because he seems so much deep, like the way the movie was made was so real that when I'm looking at this, listen, it's just a trailer, admittedly, it's just a trailer. When I'm looking at it, it's like, this seems like a teenager who's trying to figure himself out. That's what Bruce Wayne looks like to me. It's like, it's a teenager trying to figure out who he is in the world. And I'm like, okay, but that's not what I thought we were going to be getting. And for me, at my age, I don't particularly want to see that. Personally, for 19, 20-year-olds, it's perfect for them because maybe they're going through things. So they're like, listen, I want to feel like I'm Batman. I don't know, you know? But like for me, I'm like, that scene when the thing crashed into that thing, and you looked at Bruce Wayne and his hair was, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. I'm actually serious. I was like, I don't know what these people are trying to do, but you cannot be serious. You already got trashed when they did that with emo Spider-Man in Spider-Man 3. You remember that?
Yeah.
You remember that? You remember the fallout of that, right? So I'm like, have you not learned your lesson from seeing what happened to Sony when they tried to do this and make Spider-Man into this sort of teen thing, angsty? What people would be like, what is this? You know? So why would you go down that same path? That to me is what I would think. But as I said, it's a first trailer. Maybe the movie isn't what we're thinking. But if you're going to throw a Catwoman in, that's Zoe Kravitz, I'm like, listen, Zoe Kravitz isn't known for being a thespian.
No.
Okay? So I'm not expecting some weighty acting scenes, you know, to be coming out here. And you're following up Michelle Pfeiffer in Batman Returns. That is the quintessential Catwoman.
I don't know if she'll be better than it. She won't be better than Anne Hathaway, I don't think.
Rusty.
She won't be better than Anne Hathaway.
Rusty.
I forgot Anne Hathaway. That's how bad she
Exactly.
was.
I know you're trying to forget that movie, Merc.
Rusty. Anne Hathaway was Anne Hathaway in The Dark Knight Rises. So I don't know who. I heard before I watched the movie that Catwoman was in the film. That's what I was told. But the film I saw happened to have Anne Hathaway in the film. And I was wondering, now, wait a minute, why is Batman teaming up with Anne Hathaway? I couldn't understand it personally, but that's what I watched. So I do not know what film you were watching, but I didn't see Catwoman in Batman Dark Knight Rises. I didn't see Catwoman in that movie. Now, Batman Returns, on the other hand, I'm just like, listen, when you watch that film, and this is what I don't understand about these guys. When you see what Michelle Pfeiffer did, and Michelle Pfeiffer, I also never thought of as a thespian per se. But what she did in that film, I was like, my goodness, she defined pre-Batman Returns. Catwoman was just this, I just used to think of her as like female person in Batman comics. Like I didn't really think of her as anything. It was just like, oh, you know, Catwoman, haha, you know, whatever. When I watched that film, I was like, wow, I've got to think of Catwoman differently now.
You're staticky.
What did you say?
It was the same magic Christopher Reeves had playing Superman.
Okay, I get what you're saying. In the same world, not in the same world. Like Christopher Reeve is listen, Christopher Reeve is so strong that I just put his, on occasion, and this is going to sound very homoerotic, so I don't care, I'm going to say it anyway. On occasion, I just put his picture on my laptop screen. Randomly, just some days, I'll just be like, you know, I'm feeling low, I want put some hope into and I just go to Google and I type in Superman 78, Superman Christopher Reeve, and I pick, there's one particular picture I like, when he's like, the American flag, when he's like this with the American flag behind him. There's also the picture when he's standing on, like it's like a rooftop scene, and I think it was probably a behind the scenes because I know it is from the Lois Lane interview, but he's not in the scene, so I know that it's probably like that's a good picture. And obviously the Betamax video cover. And the thing is that I always thought it was the poster. It's not the poster. It's the video cover with him flying at the screen and the city in the background, and he's flying towards you. I just put that stuff on my screen. It will never be topped. You will try forever. You are never getting better than that. There is no actor that has ever made a superhero movie that is going to be better than Christopher Reeve. Nobody. And that's the reason why when I say, I'm like, listen, you see, that Superman that I'm looking at there, that is what you mean by crossing all racial boundaries,
but
all gender boundaries. Nothing. I'm looking at that guy. I'm like, I'm not even thinking about what he is. It's Superman. I'm not thinking that it's a man. I'm not thinking it's a white man. I'm just like, no, it's just Superman. You're never going to get that again. So whenever people talk about things, I don't even put Christopher Reeve Superman in the conversation. It's not even in the conversation. Though I do understand what you're saying, it's not in the conversation. It's beyond a movie for me. Superman the movie is beyond a film. It's beyond that. Okay, that's to be said. I agree with you. Catwoman, Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman really was, man, you're going to work hard to. Do you know what that's like? That's like Wesley Snipes' Blade. It's like Mashallah Ali is going to have to work very hard to, I mean, that's going to, I don't know how is he going to be better than Wesley Snipes as Blade, man? I don't know how he's going to do it. Like, because the thing is, like, Wesley Snipes he's a good actor, but physically he was doing everything. So, I mean, that's my thing. So it's going to be tough, I think. But Mashallah Ali got a shot because he's good too. I think that is a problem for this movie because you're attracting attention to weaknesses. If you just didn't have Catwoman in the movie, you wouldn't even have to think about a comparison. You'd just be like, okay. And the thing about Robert Pattinson is that he's good as an actor, so you will just have to hope that things work out. What you've now created is a point of real weakness, because when I'm looking at that scene, I already think from the trailer, why is this in here? That's my first thing when I see the trailer. I'm just like, whoa, I'm watching this movie, but then why is Catwoman in the film? Like, and then it throws me off a lot because I'm thinking, okay, so then what time in Batman's career is this? Because if he's already encountering Catwoman and Penguin as a man, Colin Farrell is not a child. So it's like you're encountering Penguin as a grown man, but then you are this young teen-looking Batman. And Paul Dano is the Riddler, who looks young as well. And then Zoe Kravitz looks like she's in kindergarten, like she's baby, you know? So I'm very confused because I'm just like, wait a minute. So are we seeing a Catwoman origin story included in a Batman who's already Batman? Because she didn't look like a fully formed Catwoman. Like she looked like she was just like a robber. So I'm like, listen, they will probably try to explain this and do their thing. But I'm like, guys, in fandom, you're going to fandom, and in the same fandom, you're seeing two different Batmen. And they're also teasing 6 or 7 other Batmen in the Flash movie. That is phenomenally crazy.
Yeah, because you'll probably have, on top of, besides Michael Keaton and Ben Affleck, you're probably going to have Jeffrey Dean Morgan if they do the Thomas Wayne character in Flashpoint.
And they're going to have probably bring, I mean, look, Ben Affleck is going to be in it, Michael Keaton. They're probably going to have to do George Clooney. I mean, they're going to have to. And then you're going to have to do Christian Bale if he'll be willing to come, which he probably won't, you know? So, I mean, so that's my thing. So I'm just saying that, dudes, how do you get excited about a Batman film when you're not even sure where this sits in the whole universe? Like, how do you get invested?
I might not.
Say what?
I might not get invested. And then if you look at what's the appeal going to be of this movie? Is this going to be $1 billion picture? I don't see it. Even pre-pandemic, you know, the last Batman vs Superman did like 8 or 900 million.
You know what? Do you know what is so weird about that? That aspect I don't mind. I don't mind a small Batman movie. That's actually what I would like to watch. There's elements of what they're doing that I'm like, I don't mind a lot of those. The problem is that when I'm now looking at it, I'm like, wow, you know, yes, I want to see a Batman movie that makes maybe only 100, 200 million, because then you can have the freedom to really just take some chances with the character, because you already know just the Batman name, you're going to make 100, 200 million flat just on the name alone. So then you can take some chances and like do a few things. So that's what I thought. But when I watch it, I'm like, it feels like you're still nervous and you're trying to appeal to an audience that you should know isn't an audience to appeal to. Listen, Star Wars should have taught everybody a lesson. Don't pander. Don't pander to people, because Star Wars is a good lesson to people that listen. Take care of the real fans. Ghostbusters as well. Focus on the real fans, because if you try and like capture other audiences and capture other, you are going down the tubes.
At least for me, it's elements, right? So I've never seen a fully realized Batman film. So it's elements. You know, you get elements with each iteration, with each director, with each interpretation, and it's never the full package. So Begins did a good job with the training and the background when it comes to the ninjas and the shadows and theatricality, and
Sorry, who what?
Begins did a good job with the training and the
Oh,
ninjas and the history of how he became Batman, and had the actual decent Bruce Wayne, probably the best Bruce Wayne we've ever seen, whatever I think about the Batman. And Burton had the atmosphere and the best Gotham City. I don't think anybody had a better Gotham City than that, or a better Catwoman. And this one, I mean, if I'm going to say what about it excites me, I think this is going to be the one that has the most influences of the animated series. You look at the car, it looks just like the animated series. Obviously, the animated series, the car was longer, but it is animation, so you could have an extremely long car and it's believable in a sense. But this one has, the engine on the back. If you look at the side profile and how they're showing it in the trailer, it looks just like that. Um, when he said, he doesn't say I'm Batman. He says I'm Vengeance, which is literally taken right from the
I love
animated
that.
series. So the only thing I could look at to get me excited is, well, Pattinson's a good actor. It's going to have elements of the animated series and more detective leanings than we've probably seen before. Again, it's not going to be a full Batman, just like all the other Batmans weren't a fully realized Batman. They each had one or two or three things that they did good, and you had to be satisfied with that. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it like, well, I'm going to like two or three things about it. I'm probably going to hate a whole lot of other things. And then I'll probably be somewhere 50-50, or maybe the film surprises and it does something completely unexpected, or, there's a performance that's knocking it out of the park. But really, when you look at these films, like, you start to look at them in pieces. Like, what are the two or three pieces I'm going to get that I'm going to like in this iteration?
yeah, I know. I'm done with that, man. I'm not. I'm sick of having to do that. You know what I'm sick of? I'm sick of going to the cinema, going to watch a movie, and coming out feeling disappointed. That feeling, you come out and you're like, and you're trying to figure out like, oh, but that was good. But remember that part was all of that nonsense. I'm like, why? Let me think. What was the last film I went to watch that I came out and was feeling really? What are some good movies that have come? Oh, Joker.
Joker,
Joker's the last movie.
Uncut Gems.
Oh, I haven't
Uncut
seen
Gems was
Uncut
really
Gems.
good.
I haven't seen Uncut Gems. But you know what? I'm thinking, let's say superhero movies. Let's say fan movies, Joker was the last film that I came out of that I'm like, man, I'm not disappointed. I wasn't disappointed. I came out like, yeah, this was pretty much as good as I thought it was going to be from the trailers, and like, yeah, this was good. I came away. I didn't have that down. I didn't have that down feeling where you come in and you're like, oh, yeah,
You
man.
come out of Birds of Prey and you're like, wow, that story was rubbish.
Listen, the question, you went to see Birds of Prey.
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, Birds of Prey the concept of even going to watch that movie never occurred to me. It never even occurred to me. Like, I'm not going. Let me tell you something about me, right? How you know that things have changed. A Rambo movie came out that I didn't go to the cinema to watch. And I've still not seen it. Now, if anybody would have told me that, Merk, you're going to grow to a point in your life where Rambo will be out and you will not watch the movie, I'll be like, oh, come, get the hell out of here. What are you talking about? It's happened. Never saw it. Now, that's even on a baby level. Rise of Skywalker came out. I bootlegged the movie with passion. I bootlegged it with such joy. I was like, I'm bootlegging this thing. I bootlegged that movie. And even the bootleg experience, I was like, damn. You know, I was like, what? I still even, do you know how bad it is where you're bootlegging something in your bloody, on the toilet, watching the movie in the bath on the toilet. That's where I saw.
That's where that movie belongs.
That's what I saw. I was in the toilet. It's like I was watching on the toilet, watching The Rise of Skywalker on bootleg. And you're having to start and stop and buffer it and having to load up like a certain portion and then watch that. And then when it stops, then you have to, that's the experience. It took me 3 days to finish watching Rise of Skywalker. 3 days. Even under those circumstances, I still got that feeling at the end, like, oh my God. I was like, I still had that feeling of that just sick, depressing feeling that you have at the end of some of these things. And you're just like, man, listen, man, honestly, I've been hit pretty hard in my day. And I remember some of them. Phantom Menace, you know, that was tough to deal with, man. That took me a while. Matrix Revolutions, I was in shock for 2 days. I was in shock for 2 days. Do you know how bad Matrix Revolutions was? This is okay. This is going to make you guys laugh. I saw Matrix Revolutions. So that night, I went midnight showing, right? And I got back to my dorm room because I was in university. I was in New York, actually, in university. And I got back from 72nd. Yeah, I was on the Sony Cinema, 72nd Street, right? So I went there, midnight showing, came back after the movie, quietly, 3 a.m. I had class the next day. I had to go to school. So I got back at 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. or something. I had to wake up in like 2 or 3 hours to go to school. And I just went into my bed. I did not even say anything because my roommate was there. He just said, yeah, how was the movie? I just went into my room, put off the lights. I didn't even take off my clothes. I slept in my clothes that I went to the cinema. Listen, this thing, I was traumatized. I slept in my full-on outfit. I just went into my room, put off the lights, went into the bed, and slept. So I was like, because in my head I was like, what just happened? The next day, went to shower and everything. Do you know that I was so messed up that my mind played tricks on me that I hadn't seen it?
Oh, you thought it was a nightmare?
Yeah, I was trying to say that I hadn't actually watched the film. So I was like having moments would come through the day that I hadn't actually watched Revolutions. And I was like, oh, I've got to see it. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I have seen it.
It's the quality is so bad and diluted that you take a hit, but it's not what it used to be. And little by little, it's that hope, and you're disappointed more times than not. Usually.
No, yeah. Over time, I've had those experiences too much that This is the thing, and this is how I know fans like some of this stuff. I'm an old man now, and I haven't changed. I haven't changed. I'm still the same person. I'm still get affected by the same things. So I'm watching the trailer and I'm like, don't get fooled. I'm looking for all the little tricks that have been played on me all these years. So I'm looking, I'm like, I know what they're trying to do and it's not going to work this time. Because I saw that trailer and I'm like, okay, because Batman now beat that guy up and that scene was good, I'm now supposed to now go to the cinema to watch the whole film.
Shane Black.
It was good, but I'm like, so just because of that, I'm like, oh, okay, maybe all the other rubbish that I saw is like whatever, but the film is going to be. And then I go in there and I come out and I'm like, Damn it.
Shane
Because
Black
remember,
had
say what?
Shane Black, the writer director of Lethal Weapon. He once spoke about that exactly. He said when they psychologically make a trailer's about 2 minutes, maybe a minute and a half to 2 minutes, and there's a studied effect where they shoot a trailer, they show you some scenes in that 2 minutes, and the human brain, as you're watching it, your brain fills in the moments that you don't see of the movie off of your imagination and your experience. So you actually create a movie in your head that is not actual in reality. So you get 2 minutes, but your brain fills in the other hour and a half or 2 hours. So what happens is when you go see a movie and you thought it was great, it's because it met your expectations of what you filled in when you watched the trailer. When you go see a
Right.
movie and you thought it was horrible, it's because there was a bigger gap between what you filled in watching the trailer and what you actually got. But he said everybody's mind does that. You see 2 minutes and your brain fills in the rest.
Yeah, I agree with that because that was what Joker was. Joker was as good as like what I thought it was going to. It was just like it was pretty much what I thought it was going to be. What they promised you in the trailer, they delivered on what they said they were going to give you. Like it was just a proper movie. It was a real film. Like, and you know, the trailer was pushing that idea that, oh, this is a proper movie with a real story and real acting. And the movie was a proper movie with a real story and real acting. So it's like it actually gave you. But a lot of these other things. Do you know what another movie that Dark Knight was accurate to the trailer? Batman Begins wasn't. Those two things were different. Batman Begins was good, but it wasn't. It dropped off again. Batman Begins wasn't accurate to. When I watched that trailer, the trailer was a lot better than the movie. The teaser, anyway, was a lot
Yeah,
better.
I remember that one because that one looks like it's almost like a samurai movie until Batman shows up at the very end.
Of the teaser trailer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. It was let me put this guy back in.
It has that monologue. It has that monologue from Christian Bale that's not even in the movie.
Oh, listen, Batman Begins teaser is of all trailers the best superhero movie trailer. Like it's the best, and it's only a minute and 30 seconds or something. It's the best. Like when based on the character, it's the trailer. So basically, if you think of the character it is and the trailer to character appropriateness or whatever, that's the best trailer that has been made. Even though the movie wasn't anything like that teaser. Even when I watch it now, I'm like, man, this trailer was good, man. Like that was not the film that I watched, you know. But yeah, I mean, look, listen, man. People are trying to be excited. I know they want to be excited, but that Batman trailer, I was like, I mean, and even the fighting, I was like, yeah, it was good, but it wasn't Snides in the warehouse good.
No, it's not Daredevil in the hallway good.
It wasn't what?
It's not Daredevil in the hallway good.
Yeah. You know what? That's a little overrated. People talk about that scene a lot, and I'm like, yeah, it was good, but yeah, it was good. It was good. I give it that. Yeah, I give it.
It's a good scene.
You know. It was a good scene. You know. But you know, I mean, look. At the end of the day, you never get what you want because I was, you know, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, why couldn't they just let Snides just do that Batman film? You know, just I mean, God, that's all I wanted to watch. It's so annoying because now I'm seeing this. I'm like, so we're now so far away from that we're never going to actually see that thing because now they've gone in such a different direction. I'm like, we've already done the serious thing. We already did the Nolan thing for 3 films. We did the whole reality thing. You know, damn. Oh, anyway, so that's all I got on that. Any last words?
So, you know, for the Batman, this it's a very very underwhelming first trailer. It does give you a sense of what the movie's going to be. I just feel like this is a trailer for a TV show, not the next big Batman.
That's my thoughts exactly. And Val, any last words?
I see elements of the animated series, and I'm a big fan of the animated series. I'm interested in Pattinson's performance because I think he will be one of the better Batman, as strange as that might seem. I think there's a lot of performances in the people that have played Batman that there's a lot of room for him to kind of run with it, especially if he takes it seriously from an acting perspective and he has some kind of talent to deliver on that. I'm not going to like Catwoman. I could tell already. I didn't like her when she was cast. I don't like her now. I don't like what it looks like. I like Pattinson from what I've seen, but I don't like her. And we really haven't seen anybody else. I mean, Gordon is Gordon. I don't see how you could screw that up. I mean, he's a solid actor. He looks like Gordon. So there's that. And the other huge thing is we haven't really seen Alfred yet. And a large part of where Batman goes is where Alfred goes. And we haven't seen any of that. So there's no telling on what that's going to look like.
Who is Alfred in this movie?
The guy who...
Say that again?
What's his name? The guy who's playing Alfred is the guy who was Caesar in the Monkey movies.
Oh, Andy Serkis. Oh, I forgot he was in this. Okay.
He's actually one of the best actors in this. Yeah.
No, the best actor by 1,000 billion gazillion light years in this movie is Jeffrey Wright. Jeffrey Wright is in my top 5 living actors. He's in my top 5 living human, top 5 actors who are living and breathing today.
Will his Gordon be as good as Gary Oldman or better?
I mean, Gary Oldman is in my top 5 too. You know what I'm saying? So it's like they're both in my top 5. It's like my top 5 is who are alive: Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, Meryl Streep, Gary Oldman, and Jeffrey Wright. Daniel Day-Lewis, he hardly acts. So he would be in my top 5, but he barely does anything. So it's like, but he should be in the top 5. But those are my top 5 guys who are active.
So what you saw of Gordon, were you happy with what you saw?
Doesn't matter. I don't need to see any footage. I don't need to see any footage. It makes a difference. When Jeffrey Wright is involved, I don't even need to see the footage. It's like, they showed, he said a few lines. I'm like, I am guaranteeing you, when you watch this film, there are things he's going to do in this film that you'll be like, man, this guy's good, man. I'm guaranteed. He never fails. Never fails in everything. Even if the film is bad, he's never given a bad performance. In fact, he saves films. He saves movies on his own. Gary Oldman is obviously that is another level of, that's a whole other level. Gary Oldman as Commissioner Gordon was Commissioner Gordon. He was the guy. So it wasn't even like he was acting anymore. It was like, oh, okay, that's Commissioner Gordon now, which is typically what he does. Everything he's in, he just becomes the person. So you forget who his own real personality is. He just becomes the person. So yeah, it's difficult to really grade Gary Oldman performances because he just really becomes. Do you know what it is? It is like Daniel Day-Lewis. Daniel Day-Lewis becomes the person. So you don't actually really know. Daniel Day-Lewis is a very difficult guy to even know what his real personality is because he hardly gives any interviews. You don't see him around much. He doesn't really do anything in the public eye. So all you really know about him is all these characters he's played, which are so completely immersed. He's completely immersed in the role that you don't even really know what his personality might be as a person. And the only other person I can think of who does that is Gary Oldman. You know that Gary Oldman in JFK, I didn't know he was in the movie. Have Hope told me. And I was like, wait a minute, Gary Oldman wasn't in JFK. He was like, yes, he was. I'm like, no, he wasn't. I didn't believe he was in the film. And I had to go back and rewind. Like, oh, I didn't know it was him. Can you imagine? I had no idea. I watched a movie and I argued with Have Hope and I said, Gary Oldman was not in the film I just watched. I mean, I didn't just watch that. I'd watched it years before. But I was like, there's no way Gary Oldman was in JFK. And it was like he was Oswald. I'm like, what? I thought it was just a random guy. I thought that they got some actor to play Oswald. Listen, man, same thing in like, look, he's done that so many times. I didn't even know he was in the film. And he had a proper role. And then I'm like, what? He was in the movie? Really?
Did you ever
Yeah,
see
so
Hannibal?
that was crazy. I was going to say that one as well. Yeah, I saw that. I didn't know that was him.
There's so much
I mean,
makeup on him, and I think he's even uncredited. So if you watched the movie and didn't read the credit, if you didn't know anything about the movie and you just watched it, you wouldn't know that he was in it.
listen, it's even crazy that when you watch True Romance,
Yeah.
you don't even really like, you know, it's him, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you have to take a moment to be like, wait a minute, this is Gary Oldman that we're looking at here. Like, it's sort
A
of
movie would be so crazy if it had Daniel Day-Lewis as Batman and Gary Oldman as the Joker. Just the two of them.
You know what is so funny about that is that it's ridiculous casting, but they would pull it off.
It would be good.
They would pull it. They would pull it off, but that would be such bad. Like
they would be good. I don't know about the movie.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because that'll be very hard to get my head around, but it would be interesting. Well, you know what? Actually, Joker is a weird one because I think anybody can play a Joker if you're a good actor. You can do your own thing with it. Batman is much more difficult. There is only one actor. You see, the thing is, and we were supposed to get this movie and we didn't. Mel Gibson's Superman with Jim Caviezel as Superman is the only combination when I heard that was happening that I was like, ooh, Christopher Reeve might have to, look over his shoulder, like think about something. He was still going to be triumphant, but he would have to still be like, ooh, okay. Because Jim Caviezel has a quality. He could be, like, if they cast him as Superman, he played Jesus, for goodness sake.
How has he not done one of these movies yet?
How Jim Caviezel?
Caviezel, yeah.
Because I think
he could have gotten something.
I think because of his Christianity, I think because of that and doing Passion, that sort of changed his entire career path. If you look at what he was doing up to that movie, he had a very regular actor's path. Like, he was just doing regular films, and things really just changed after Passion. What has he really done since then?
Really, just Person of Interest on TV. That's the only thing I've really seen him in. And he was in Deja Vu with Denzel Washington. He was the bad guy in that.
Well, look at him before Passion. He was doing movies. Mm-hmm. He was the Frequency. He was in what was the other one that he was in?
He was in some Jennifer Lopez movie.
What's the name of that movie? Count of Monte Cristo.
Oh yeah, that was a good one.
He was in another movie. He was in proper films, like really, and then he did Passion, and then boom, stopped everything. And that movie was so successful. So you would think that he would have exploded. That movie made $800 or $900 million.
The thing is, actors like that, they usually, they usually don't get a lot of roles that they're interested in, because they usually pick really challenging roles, like Daniel Day-Lewis, Jim Caviezel, Gary Oldman. They're such chameleons and have such acting talent that if a role isn't up to their talent, they might go a couple years and not do anything. That's the interesting thing, is if you cast them opposite each other, the polarity of acting and one-upmanship is like what you would see with a Pacino and a De Niro, but probably to a greater.
But man, are you gonna put? You can't put Jim Caviezel in that echelon, man. Come on, man. Jim Caviezel is not.
He's not at the level of Daniel Day-Lewis and Gary Oldman. He's of the same type of school, I guess. Of can he pull off a top-notch acting role? But he's not in the same category. But I would definitely put Daniel Day-Lewis and Gary Oldman opposite each other in some kind of roles, just to see how they put the screen up together.
Those two are contemporaries in quality. Like, Daniel Day-Lewis is not much. He's not better than Gary Oldman. No, they're the same. To me, they're the same ability.
They're exactly the same. Yeah.
Same level of ability. It just depends on what the role is. And Gary Oldman is way more commercial. Like he's willing to just do movies. He's willing to do a lot more films and do whatever. So he's done all kinds of films. Gary Oldman is very.
But can you think of as an actor, besides those two people, if anybody else you would want in one of these type of roles that can give it what you would need them to give it to take it to a whole nother place?
Who's alive or anybody in general?
Anybody in general, like their level of acting, and if you put them in like a Batman role or a Joker role, I mean, we saw Marlon Brando, but like we saw what Gary Oldman did with Gordon. Imagine what he could do with a Joker or a Two-Face or anybody else to cast him as.
If you see what Marlon Brando did with Jor-El, just standing around with a gown.
Exactly. It's a whole other thing.
Jor-El is just
it's Shakespeare.
He was like God. He was God.
The father of the whole world. Like he just became everybody's father by the end of that film. When Jor-El is talking, I'm listening. I'm like, yes, Daddy. Sorry, what should I do? Because when he was talking and was giving him that speech in the thing, I'm like, it felt like he's talking to me, which is the point.
Yeah, it was that good.
It was that good that it feels like he's talking to you, like he's talking to Superman, the character. But when he's giving this speech, you're like, man, by the end of the thing, you feel like, yeah, that you're ready to go out into the world and do new things, which is the key. So yes, there are some actors who, when you get people of a particular level, they will
Didn't
bring.
Brando play Mark Antony in the Julius Caesar movie? I think he did.
Yeah, I can't even remember. I mean, man, that's like 1,000 years ago. Yeah, I mean,
imagine Daniel Day-Lewis as Superman. Could be interesting.
You see that?
Is he a better actor than Reeves?
Of course, come on, man. Look, Reeves was not a great actor. But
Reeves did such a great job that would someone like a Daniel Day-Lewis, when he was younger, cast as Superman, do it better?
What year of Daniel Day-Lewis would you cast him in Superman the movie, or I don't know, Superman Returns?
Probably back around when he was doing that boxing film, or even when he was doing Last of the Mohicans, or even a little bit older where he did the butcher in that Scorsese movie Gangs of New York. Mm-hmm. Because for me, it's not really age, it's not really looks, it's what can you do with the performance. And I would utilize him for the performance.
There I disagree. That is more, I would say that you can even get away with that more with Batman. Superman, looks matter. It really does. There's that is the reason why I said, that Russell Crowe as Superman could have worked, but it would be a very different kind of Superman. This is the thing about Superman. The thing about Superman for me is that, go on.
But what if you took an actor with the raw talent of Gary Oldman or Daniel Day-Lewis, right? And through makeups and prosthetics and their acting ability, you took care of the visual surface of the character to allow them even more room to act. Where if you made him look like Superman, and then you said, okay, Daniel Day-Lewis, you take care of the performance.
That, you see, this I'll tell you something. This is my personal opinion about Superman. Superman is an aura character. It's an aura character. Performance needs to be on point, but the performance is, the band of acting required isn't as wide. Batman is huge. There is much performance in a Batman character.
But Daniel Day-Lewis also...
It's like you have to have somebody who gives off that authoritative, that energy, and their face. That's the reason why I said Christopher Reeve was so interesting, because the archetype of Superman is very white. Is very, you could call, it's a very white, classic 50s superhero ideal, Captain America, you know? There's a very, very specific thing. And what Christopher Reeve was able to do is take that and make it feel universal. Like I looked at Superman, I'm like, I don't even care what, he doesn't need to look like me. I'm looking at this guy and it's like beyond any boundaries.
Right. I mean,
that was why it's such a great achievement
Reeves,
of that, what he was able to do.
Well, Reeves had the look and he was perfectly cast in the type and the talent. But although Daniel Day-Lewis would be a better Batman for sure, if he can play Abraham Lincoln, he can play Superman. It's his potential as an actor of, would he take it to a more interesting place? He might not look as good as Reeves. He might not be as well typecast as Reeves, but would the performance be more interesting and compelling?
Daniel Day-Lewis would do, listen, it's like if Gary Oldman was Superman, he dropped off again. If Gary Oldman was Superman, you would say the same thing. Like I'm sure Gary Oldman is not going to agree to play Superman and do a bad job.
No.
I just feel like there is a stature Superman needs to have. That Christopher Reeve thing of being 6'5", I think the guy was like 6'5" or something. Yeah. 200.
Is Gary Oldman tall enough to be Superman?
No, he isn't. He got his weight up to like, I think he got his weight to like 220 pounds. You know, so you're 6'5", 220, which is quite lean actually for that height, you know. But the guy was just like, I mean, it was a perfect, his whole stature, it felt like this is Superman. His energy was perfect. You know that I've heard that he was actually very arrogant and difficult to work with, which made me sad. I was like, oh, but yeah, that was what Margot Kidder said, I think, or I don't want to misquote her. Maybe she didn't say that, but some people did say that he just took it himself very seriously and he was a bit difficult to work, like that sort of thing, you know.
She's very good.
She was.
Margot Kidder. Like, they've made a few more Superman movies since, and none of the other actresses are better than Margot Kidder. I like Amy Adams.
But I never thought she was. She made it her own. I would say that, because when I saw her as Lois Lane, I read the comics. Lois Lane was way more classic than Margot Kidder is. Just like a typical classic. So in a way, the comic book version of Lois Lane is way more boring. Margot Kidder is way more interesting than the idea that I had of what Lois Lane would be, you know. But Christopher Reeve as Superman, I mean, the guy, it's just like, I do not see anybody, unless somebody magically is born that I don't know of, that already exists, that they'll just be like, oh, wow, look at this guy. And I think it's going to have to be one of those situations. I don't think a famous actor playing Superman is going to work. I think it's going to have to be a similar thing where you just find somebody and the person is just perfect. Brandon Routh. Did you see the clips of Brandon Routh in the TV show Supergirl?
I know he did it, but I didn't see his footage.
He's much better than in the films. In Superman.
I did hear that people liked him better.
Way, way better. Like I saw that and I'm like, this guy got a raw deal in that movie, because clearly he's a lot, or maybe he got better, but what I saw in those things, I'm like, this guy is actually better than what he was in the movie, and better than bloody, who's this guy? What's the current guy? What's his name?
Which are you talking about? Are you still talking about Henry Cavill?
Henry Cavill. Yeah, I mean, Henry Cavill to me, it's like,
he's okay. He's okay.
He's okay. Yeah, it's just okay. Yes. Obviously, nobody's going to be like, oh, he's bad. He's definitely not bad. No, but it's like, it's like, I don't look at him and think, oh, he's Superman.
Yeah, no one can ever be Superman again after this.
No. Nobody's going to say that. Yeah, I mean, people have said it online, but I think they are just not. They don't know what they're talking about because he definitely has. You know what? Basically, he hasn't done what Chris Evans has done with Captain America.
Yeah.
Now it's difficult for somebody else to be Captain America. It can be done, but he has like really, really like solidified that role with himself. That now for somebody else to play Captain America would be really, really hard. It'd be
Yeah,
really,
same thing
really
with Iron Man.
That's going to be tough now. It can be done. It'll be really tough. It'd be really, really hard. Like Robert Downey Jr. has like made like Iron Man is him now, so it's like it'd be really, really difficult, you know. And there's some actors who've done that now recently. It's just off the top of my head. It's those two off the top of my head that I don't know how you're going to get somebody else. You know, everybody else are replaceable. You can replace everybody else with someone else, but those two. I mean, what we've got Batman, we've got Superman, we've got. Christian Bale is easily replaceable. There's no problem with that, you know.
Yeah.
As Batman, there's no issue. Heath
James
Ledger.
Bond. Somebody will be whoever's the next James Bond after Daniel Craig potentially could be as good.
Oh, yeah,
somebody's
yeah.
Somebody's out there that could do it.
Yeah, I think Heath Ledger killed Joker. Like he just killed off. Like he did such a thing with it that they had to make the kind of Joker they made. They had to go in a completely different direction. I just say it's like because I even after they did that, and I still go back and I watch the Heath Ledger thing. I'm like, I don't think anybody's going to be better than this.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Mark Hamill too has defined that character for almost 20 years now in animation.
Right. Because let's be honest, Joaquin Phoenix's Joker wasn't better than Heath Ledger's Joker. The film was a great film.
Mm-hmm.
The actual movie was good and his performance was really good. But that Joker isn't like Heath Ledger's Joker is a performance for the ages.
Yeah.
Like that's the sort of thing that Silence of the Lambs type, Hannibal Lecter type stuff, Marlon Brando Godfather type stuff. Like that Joker in Dark Knight, it's like 50 years from now, you're still going to go back to that and be like, man, wow. All right.
Yeah, Heath Ledger and Gary Oldman stole The Dark Knight from Christian Bale, who just kind of wasn't in a great, I watched The Dark Knight the other day, and Bale is just disappointing in that movie. Like you never see him get angry once as Bruce Wayne. He's just kind of mopey, like, oh, Rachel's dead now. Oh, what's the city going to do?
You know what the problem is, though? It's like, with that, it's the directing. The director needs to help with that sort of thing because the movie wasn't. He could have done. Listen, I think him as an actor isn't the kind of guy. Listen, look, he blew up on that Terminator set. So when I heard that footage, which was very disgraceful, but it's a guy that takes himself very seriously. He takes himself very seriously. So I feel like there was a performance in there that you could have gotten in that film, but I can't blame him for not giving it per se, because when I look at the way Nolan has made his films, his protagonists rarely stand out. Rarely. I mean, the only one I can think of where this protagonist stood out is the movie where the protagonist was the entire film, which is Memento. He was the movie. So like you have no choice. Like he had to stand out because the whole movie is just him, But every other movie, the protagonist in all of Nolan's films, even from Interstellar to Inception to Dunkirk didn't even really have a protagonist. All of them, like the protagonist is just a vehicle for the story, for the narrative. So you don't really have that same feeling.
What about Prestige?
Prestige is amazing, but I still do not believe that. Oh, you know what? That's a weird
Christian
one.
Bale has to play 2 roles in that movie.
Yeah, but think about who stole the show. Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, he was the surprise. He was the surprise of that movie.
Yeah, he stole the movie. So it's always some other actor that comes in and is not even the main actor, that they just by their own engine just steal the movie. But Hugh Jackman completely stole. That is Hugh Jackman's best cinematic performance in a film, is Prestige, which nobody even talks about.
Prestige is fantastic.
What?
Yeah, Prestige is fantastic, and the support. That's another good supporting cast. Yeah, David Bowie and Andy Serkis as Tesla and his assistant.
Prestige is Christopher Nolan's best film that nobody talks about. It's his best movie. It's the best film he's made. Nobody talks about it. I just saw this guy's comments. All right, look, let's call it a day. This has been an epic. It's been a long one. Jeez, 2.5 hours.
It's 1:11 where I am.
Yeah, where am I? Yeah, same here. Your Central Time as well. It's 1:11 here.
Yeah.
All right, man. Yeah. So we'll see what. I mean, look, there's so much happening. I guess the next thing I'll be doing is I keep putting it off. I'm gonna, classics, Ghostbusters, then Beverly Hills Cop. Then I'm gonna try and see how I'm gonna watch Tenet, and then come back and talk about that. I don't know how I'm gonna see that film. I have to find a cinema somewhere.
Yeah. In my town, one of the cinemas is going to open later this week, and then most of them are going to be open the following weekend. And we have a drive-in too, so I might I could go see it there.
You're in the US, man. I'm not even in the US. I'm in like a bloody other dimension. I don't know how I'm going to see it. Like, it's going to be really tough. So I'm going to have to literally avoid all internet for a while till I manage to see this. What's the dates? Like, so the film is, they said by the 3rd of September, it should have come out everywhere by the 3rd.
Yeah, the third or the 4th is everywhere.
Yeah, but America is getting it on the 26th or something.
No, we don't get it. Won't be in the States till September. It shouldn't be.
Oh, right. All right. Anyway, that's what we got. I'm out of here. Cheers. Again, we'll be back with the next installment. Like I said, it'll be the classics. Probably on Monday, maybe tomorrow. I mean, maybe tomorrow I'll do Ghostbusters tomorrow. We'll see. All right.